Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Click R3 number 29. Perfect. We might even be early. I don't know.
Really.
They said it was gonna be 10. Some people thought it was 9:30 or something. I don't know what everyone's talking about.
Yeah, it's early when you don't announce that you've moved the show by 25 minutes.
Whoa,
Apparently,
what? Huh? What? Who said that? Who said that? I just see
wouldn't be
5
wouldn't
minutes
be the
early.
first time. Wouldn't be the first time you've done this.
I just see 5 minutes early. I'll see Ryan showing up here. I get the headphones on because my AirPods were not charged, and then here comes Ryan with the charged AirPods.
No, they're new AirPods, John.
Oh, you got the new ones. You did get the new ones. Okay.
5-hour battery life, so I'm fairly certain we'll be good.
Okay.
Fairly certain.
Which are those, like the new studio, like not the ones that have like there's the ones that are like the regular, and then they have like the studio ones, I think.
Well, these are just AirPods 4, just the standard ones, no noise cancellation. Just pretty basic. I don't need nothing crazy, nothing too spicy.
No, those work fine. I have the noise cancellation ones, and it's weird because you put in your ear and it does this thing where you can hear, and almost like it's like this really weird sound.
Yeah, I don't know if I need all that.
Now, I've used them for this show a couple times. They last long enough. So 5-hour battery life will get you by, though. You'll be good.
I would imagine so. We do have a big show, though. We got a lot of stories to go over.
Do we?
Yeah.
All right.
I would say we do.
Good stuff. So yeah, people wonder why we weren't doing it live before. This is why. It is actually a lot. It is like truly live to the point where you don't even know when we're gonna go live. That's how it is.
We're never live because we move the show around too much. We do it Tuesday. Can you do Wednesday night? How about Thursday? So
what I'm gonna start doing, because I know we're all over the place with this sometimes. I did think about this, and it's gonna start happening here now on this channel, actually, where I'll get some clips of different topics that we talk about and post those separately. Just because people were saying, hey, that'd actually be good if we can't catch up at the show or we miss it in the show, if you just kind of point some of them out. So nice thing Ryan has, like, he goes through, he has all of them all figured out with the topics. The problem is I like to also look at the chat here. So when we would do pre-recorded, I would just sit here and do the timestamps as well. But that is like, that's half the screen, and then this is half the screen. So now I'm like, I have the chat in the half screen where I would have the notepad typing the stuff. So
what he's trying to say, he wants free labor for somebody to do timestamps for him.
I didn't say anyone has to do timestamps.
You're pretty much, I'm not going to be able to do timestamps anymore. So
I'll figure something out with that. I might end up bringing somebody in to do timestamps. We'll see. Because the timestamps would help now, because then I could find where the topics are and I can clip them out a bit easier. That's why the timestamps actually make it easier for that part. Hey, shout out to from Mexico. Hey, shout out to them.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Oh,
I did some deliveries in Mexico not too long ago.
Oh yeah, that's trending too. Hey, there it is. Oh yeah, look, Fuzz not letting you off the hook with that Rebirth stuff.
I know. Hey, Fuzz, I'll get there. I just got to wrap up some deliveries. All right, so I'm employed by UPS right now, or Drawbridge rather.
Have you seen the PS2 or Die? He's trying to beat every PS2 release ever.
I have seen this. Yeah, it's super cool, and it's such a crazy commitment. It's genuinely like oh, I got to set aside like thousands of hours of my life now to accomplish this.
Every PS2 game, that's gonna take forever.
Yeah. And it's like what? Thousands of games, thousands.
He's logging. I guess he's logging it all on YouTube. So there's that. But this series is gonna go on for just about ever. It takes so long. All right. Oh, Victor says, good to have the GOAT of PlayStation YouTube community talking live. Thank you. I appreciate that.
My boy Victor showing up in full force.
Oh, you mean Ryan? Yeah, Ryan. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, John, it was definitely talking about you.
Yes. Well, only one of us have Platinum Mind's Eye. Well, actually, no, Gene Park did Platinum Mind's Eye recently and ruined everything.
He did.
I hope he's happy about that. I hope he's proud of himself.
Well, it's like a badge of honor. I'll earn mine eventually. I'll get there.
Yeah, you will. You put it in one of your platinum videos and get it done in a day.
Yeah. I can't always be ahead of the curve. I got to let you guys win some every now and again.
Okay. Let's see. All right, Ryan, what do we even have tonight?
Well, a handful of things. You definitely knew what were some of the headlines, so that was pretty easy to suss out. But we'll start off with some easier stories first, as we often like to do around here. So we do have the new PS Plus lineup. The Essential tier, August 2025, went live today, mind you. Lies of P on PS4, PS5, DayZ PS4, and My Hero 1's Justice 2 on PS4 as well. All live on PSN right now. Which, John, Lies of P really does stand out there for sure.
That's the only one I'm really that familiar with. The other ones, I don't know. But Lies of P is a good game. Although they did an update that added difficulty settings, and that seemed to mess with. That was a whole thing with the Souls-like game.
When they add that?
Oh gosh, was it earlier this year or end of last year? I think it was earlier this year. It was a few months ago, I think. It's pretty recent. But they added an update that said, oh, basically, do you want an easy, medium, or hard? So that's, you do that in a Souls game, it's the community's going to fight over it, and they did.
Yeah. Well, at least it's exposed to a much bigger audience now. And DayZ's been around since like 2018. Gosh. That's from that armor mod. So
yeah. It's been a while there.
Can enjoy that one.
They do still mark with Lies, they do still mark which difficulty is like the default or like the expected, the original difficulty. So they do mark that. If you just want to go straight forward how they had it originally, you can. They'll tell you which one.
Okay. Well, we do have Evo 2025 going on right now, so very relevant because PlayStation did confirm the Project Defiant name. That's their in-house fighting stick. That is called Flex Strike. And you will only need one PS Link adapter to connect a Flex Strike or also a Pulse Elite or a Pulse Explorer. They detailed this on the PS blog. You can do both at the same time, or you can do 2 Flex Strikes with one PS Link adapter. It's coming with a new adapter as well, so this one will use the USB-C front port as well, so a little bit handy there. They also mentioned that it's got a built-in lever mode switch, so you can swap directional inputs, or you can lock in the input to prevent accidental inputs during a match with a dedicated lock button. You can also still use a DualSense alongside the Flex Strike, so if you just want to pick up the DualSense to move around menus or something. And it showed off the carrying bag as well, because it comes with a pretty like premium style carrying bag. I imagine there's no pricing details just yet. I would think this thing's going to be pretty pricey though, coming out sometime next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's geared towards the tournament crowd, and most of them would rather have a stick that's higher quality and pay extra for it than some junk stick that they're not going to want to use. And you know, Sony is they will come up to, they will show up to the table with some pretty expensive accessories. They are not a stranger to that. So for the idea of buy a fight stick once and you're good for a while, and then obviously they're pairing it with Marvel Token. So
well, good thing
how much
you
do you think it's
mentioned.
going to be?
Well, I don't know I don't know pricing for fighting sticks that well. I mean they definitely go over 100, don't they? Like 150, 200.
Oh yeah.
I'd imagine it's the upper end of whatever the going rate is for these things.
I was kind of thinking between 150 and 200, but someone in the chat who's like a big fighting game connoisseur could probably educate us on that. That would be my guess, between 150 and 200.
I would have thought, like, I don't know why, I don't even have a frame of reference, but I would think like 180.
Okay.
I don't even know.
But like a DualSense Edge pricing. You think somewhere in there, like 200? Yeah,
close to that neighborhood. I mean, like they're obviously trying to already telegraph the idea of like, oh, we're giving you like a bag with it too. Like, oh, so you guys are looking for a reason to charge a lot for this thing, probably.
I feel like it's just getting harder and harder to guess at how much things cost nowadays anyway. Things are just so skewed. They're all over the place. If you think back 5 years ago, I remember I was buying, what was I buying? Some like, I think it was at the Royal Fart. I was buying some mints or something, going up to the register, and it was like $3.50 or something. The person was like, I remember when this was $1.79. He was ringing me up. And I was like, yeah, those are the days, like 4 years ago.
That's a problem. It's crazy. Everything is more expensive. Everything's more expensive.
Yep.
You did mention Marvel Tokon though. So we do have not only lots of new footage of that game, and of course all the fighting game community's been playing it, a lot of hands-on time that's being shown off out there, but closed beta, that was announced as well. So that's going to be online and offline matches, rollback netcode, spectator mode, and that runs from September 5th to the 7th only on PlayStation 5. You can register right now on PlayStation.com through their regular beta program. So there's not like a different sign-up page. I'm pretty sure if you just like signed up for the regular beta program, you're already being considered, but they are running a beta for that fairly soon as well.
This is one of those moments where I wish I was really big into fighting games, or just more into fighting games than I am, because this just feels like it's so exciting for people. And I can't relate. It's like, hey, it looks cool, but they're talking about all the crazy mechanics that are happening. Like, look, this isn't. And I'm like, okay, I mean, the special attack looked cool. I don't know. That's
I can't relate. I mean, I can't either. I don't care for fighting games, but it's obviously pertinent PlayStation news. Like, you don't think Sony's going to be putting this thing on a pedestal for the next?
No, but like I feel like that with a lot of fighting games. Oh, that maybe Mortal Kombat, just because for me there's history there, and Mortal Kombat tends to be a bit more approachable, I think, for people outside of fighting games. Just like kind of reflecting on that and then seeing all the people who get so excited about these fighting games. It's like, man, it's times like these where I wish I got more into fighting games just growing up, and I just didn't. So obviously Sony is huge stake in all of this. So I get that, but it's just kind of man, what an interesting world to really be into. I just see all the clips from Evo, it's people are losing their mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. You're definitely more, you have at least a little bit more intuition on this stuff than I would. This is like just ad reads to me, basically, like, as far as what's going on with fighting game stuff. So
usually you can find at least one fighting game or fighting game franchise that someone is at least somewhat familiar with or interested in. Like for me, it's Mortal Kombat, just because, man, Mortal Kombat's always been around since I was younger when I shouldn't have been playing it, and I still was. And some people it's Street Fighter, some people it's Tekken. None of those
mine was Tekken.
None of them. You were Tekken. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Tekken.
There you go.
I don't know. I feel like with Tekken, I can just get away with picking Eddie Gordo and just going through like his single arcade run, and I'm happy with it. Plus, they respect your time as far as the platinum goes. They like every recent Tekken game is like an 8 to 10 hour platinum.
Really? How's Tekken 8?
Yeah. The same thing. It's like 10 hours, I think. And the game gets all this like post-launch support. They never touch the game. They never add more trophies. It's like they know, like, oh, don't worry. You want to just buy this and get your platinum. We're not going to mess up your 100%. You're good. I like that. They know how to they know how to finesse me. So they'll finesse me eventually. I haven't.
Just go for that Tekken 8 platinum. It's up there. I haven't played a fighting game in a minute.
Actually, speaking of trophies, I'll cover up this story real quick because it's a little quirk. It's kind of annoying, but you saw, John, probably that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and 3 are getting unbundled from Call of Duty HQ, the singular application on PlayStation 5. And because of that, it now gets around Sony's very stupid stipulation of 1 platinum per executable. Because that is a weird thing that Sony, for some reason, has restricted on PlayStation 5, is that you can only have a singular platinum per executable on the console. So because of that, we've now got this weird thing where MW3, which didn't have a platinum because it was part of Call of Duty HQ, and so it was treated as like add-on DLC. It had a full list, just no platinum. Now it still has that, obviously. That doesn't go away. They don't ever remove trophies. But now it has its own, because it can launch by itself now. Now it has a platinum on PSN. And that means if you did earn the 100%, if you like got all the trophies from Call of Duty HQ, you can auto pop. And you can get a platinum for it finally. So
okay. Are you at all interested in going back? And
well, no, because I haven't played a modern Call of Duty game in probably like 7 entries.
Wow. Okay.
It's been a while for me. But I like those games. Don't get me wrong. I just don't play the multiplayer anymore. But I kind of like that the campaigns are like 5 something hours and they're like pretty quick. So, but I know, I think the recent game
was pretty good.
Well, I think that, but the thing is, I think the recent trophy lists do have like at least hit 55 or something online, like the first Prestige or something. I think every Call of Duty does that now. Okay. So there is an online commitment for them. So I'm not sure if I'd like play them on main, but I'll eventually get to the campaigns. It's just that this like weird stipulation now, like that'll be a thing for MW3, because MW2 did have a platinum. That was the first game with Call of Duty HQ. So that has a platinum. Then every subsequent Call of Duty does not have one. So you have to wait till they get unbundled from HQ. And I don't think that's changing for 7. So you have to wait for 7 to come out. And then years after 7, it comes unbundled from HQ, if they still are committed to doing that.
Okay.
I see that you have no comment on that. That's more of a Ryan story there. I understand.
Well, I mean, I did the multiplayer in Call of Duty. I prestiged like 4 or 5 times on the Xbox version.
Yeah.
So I have no problem doing that, but I don't know if I would go back through it again on PlayStation just for the trophy for Call of Duty. But that means though, but that's the thing, is the old one. It's not the new one will show up. It'll just go into that same service then, won't it?
Well, yeah, that's like, I imagine it will launch in HQ. And if this is how they're going to do it over time, where they will unbundle them eventually on PS5, that means you might be entitled to a platinum down the road if the auto pop works. Well, the weird thing about MW2 is that I guess it gets 2 platinums now because it gets unbundled. It has another list. and it has another platinum. Last time I checked, the auto pop is not working for that. They might fix it, but it's just something to bear in mind for Call of Duty games.
Interesting.
You want to just move on to this kind of a big headline that we got from this past week. Sony is suing Tencent over Light of Mataram.
Okay, we need to all come to a consensus here on this title. Everyone says it different. Well, I'd say like
I say Mataram. What do you say?
Motiram.
Motiram? I think you're wrong.
I might be. I'm not saying I'm not. I've seen someone said, I heard someone said Motram the other day. I'm like, I think that's a medicine.
Light of Benadryl. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know how you pronounce it. All I know is I don't think Sony lawyers care.
Is this, well, someone's going to have to say it in the courtroom. So is this a word? We have to look around. Has this been said before by the company? Or is this a situation where no one said the word out loud and we're all just guessing? Like officially from them?
Well, I mean, I guess we will find out. I'm not sure how pertinent that info is, but
I mean, it's the title of the game.
Sure, but I don't know. I think it sounds like Mataram to me, but I'm also probably wrong. I'm like the last person to double. Oh, Ryan, how do you pronounce this? Well, don't look at me. Please don't look at me. I don't know.
This feels.
But they are doing it. They are suing them because if you remember, this game was announced late last year, and it looked a lot like Horizon. I mean, a lot like Horizon. And this filing, this lawsuit that was filed on July 25th in the California federal court system, exposed a lot. And that kind of this is like not abnormal, obviously. Like it gets announced, everyone's wondering why isn't Sony doing anything? Well, they have to build a case. So it seems like that's what they were doing for months up until recently on July 25th. So now it has been properly filed. They're asking for $150,000 per infringed work, which I would think is one, but I don't know. And immediately they want to halt the game's release. So the inside documents that were shared from Stephen Totillo from GameFile, we can see how Sony was building that case. So they were comparing all the marketing material, all the promotional material, getting down to things like the font, the artistic design, comparing the protagonist, showing off like screenshots from community reception, like comments from like the Steam page, headlines from the games industry. I mean, they've got like all these comparison shots to build the case. And Sony's also discussing, what it took to build the franchise, because from their point of view, it's infringing on their work and how long it took to build the notoriety of the Horizon franchise. And the real sort of smoking gun to this case is that I guess what happened is that the lawyers outlined that Tencent made a pitch to them last year where they wanted to do a Horizon game, which is not like atypical. So for those that don't know, like in the games business, people can like approach an existing IP holder and say, we would like to make an entry in your franchise. Here's our pitch. So they pitched a sort of like Aloy goes to the East, some sort of like Asia territory for Horizon. They had a whole thing that they built out, and Sony denied the pitch. And I guess this game was like already in development, and then they just, so there it is.
I mean, look at that. Come on, look at this thing.
It looks just like it. So John, wait. The gameplay, though, when you start seeing the gameplay, you're like, this actually looks kind of different, though.
I know it does look different. It does. It's kind of like Ark mixed in. It's like survival. Ark mixed in with Horizon a bit more. Like you're crafting, you have certain bars for hunger and stuff like that. So there is a bit more in terms of just gameplay mechanics that seem to me a bit exhaustive at times. Some of those games I'm just not as interested in because of that, but it definitely plays different with that in mind. However, you get a little too close with the likeness. Yeah, eventually we all looked at it and said it when they first showed the trailer. And if we all saw it and then they had approached Sony, it's so obvious. Like that. Yeah. I don't know what you think is going to happen here,
Well, that's the thing. Like they all the shots they like compare, like they do look really, really similar when they prop them up right next to each other. But that's like the crazy thing is that they tried to basically make a Horizon game. They had some. I would think they had like this thing was pretty far along, and that was the pitch, and they showed like a playable build. And when Sony said no, they just thought, well, all right, we're going to take a few months to swap out some models and kind of announce this on our own.
That's basically what happened. I assume that once they said that, I said, oh, I don't really know how you fight this if you're Tencent. Although here's my thing. can't they just sell this in places like China and it won't, like, will Sony be able to stop them anyway?
Well, that's where, like, I don't even want to humor, like, the armchair analysis here.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, legal matters are incredibly layered and complex. I mean, what I can say as a fact is this was filed in the California federal court system. You know, so
Right.
at the very minimum, they would prevent it here.
Mm-hmm.
I would think they have to chase it down however they reasonably can, based on territory, region, and there's might be a downstream effect too of, like, you know, they're both very big companies. My thing is, I would assume Tencent would just want to settle this before it gets to that, you know.
Isn't it awkward because they're partners in investing and stuff? It seems very strange for that to happen.
Yeah, I would think that's kind of what the next, like, path here is like, well, you would think they wouldn't file this to begin with if they reached out to them privately to maybe sort of sort this out, you know. But we don't know what kind of conversations took place there.
So. Yeah, I mean, they're both invested in, like, FromSoft together.
Yeah,
there's so many things where they're connected to where I would feel almost, I don't know, offended if I would definitely be annoyed. But, you know, we know how Sony feels about Horizon. Yeah. We do.
Yeah. Not only do we know how they feel, we know how well it's sold.
Okay, this is another interesting part. Go ahead, Ryan.
In the documents filed. Now, the weird thing about Sony, though, is that they are very picky with when they give sales milestones. And these numbers are often, like, good. They're not like they're embarrassed by them or anything, but it's very rare that they, like, send out sales figures unless you have a studio breach or you file a lawsuit. So the last number we had for the Horizon franchise was April 2023. That was where it sold 32.7 million units of Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, and Call of the Mountain. Since then, though, we've had Forbidden West on PC, Zero Dawn Remastered on PS5 and PC, Lego Horizon Adventures, PS5, PC, and Switch, and the new total is 38 million. So not exactly a small number.
But Lego Horizon's putting in work. Man.
I was going to say, I don't think that game's really doing that much.
No.
Because I'm pretty sure that game was pretty soft on sales. Zero Dawn Remastered probably did well.
Yeah. It's obvious that Horizon is a big franchise. I think we make fun of. I make fun of Sony sometimes because I feel like they've gone a little too all in on Horizon at times. Just kind of the way they talk about it and treat it. It's very clear it sells. I mean, 38 million is not. That's between
two games, really. Basically.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I know there's a VR game for it. Sure, there's a Lego game.
That didn't do shit.
No, it's really two games and those re-releases of those two games. So big franchise for Sony. I think it's funny because I still think it's the franchise's breakout moment might be with that multiplayer game if they pull it off.
I would agree. I think it'd be hard pressed for them to pull it off with that game. If we even see, like, here's the thing about that multiplayer game. Gosh, I mean, it's been in development since 2018, which is like, okay, that's around the time where we maybe should be hearing something about it. But the underlying context of this is this game has had to survive multiple portfolio cullings and milestone builds. And where we are now is Sony being incredibly careful on live service at this point because they've had a hard lesson on multiple cancellations and a complete failure. So I'm curious what the state of the game is even in right now, and if it's, like, even close to, you know, seeing, like, a reveal. You would think, but that's hard to say.
The craziest result would be that Herman Hulst greenlight, but basically walked Concord to the finish line only to pull it back. But then we find out that months before that he canceled Horizon Online. That would be crazy.
I don't think Herman has it in his heart to do that.
No, I think I do believe that he truly thinks that Horizon could be a big live service experience game for them. Like, I don't think he's willing to cancel it, or he'll just put it on the back burner and let them still work on it for a while. Just the way he feels about that franchise is very clear. Although I will say when the third one comes out, which I do think is going to be a big game for them, they'll probably do a remake for it for the PS6 or something. I still wouldn't mind seeing Guerrilla try something else after that. I feel like you get a nice trilogy there. You know, there's a multiplayer game out there somewhere as well. Maybe see what Guerrilla can do after that.
No, I agree. I think they should be moving on after the third game.
Yeah. I mean, you can always come back to it later, you know, if you want to do that 10 years later or something.
Nah, but that's the thing. That's what I like about PlayStation Studios is that they will do a franchise, build it up, make it this big thing, and then they move on to something else. Usually, unless you're Polyphony doing Gran Turismo for your entire goddamn life, or if you're Santa Monica and making God of War and something that apparently feels new but is still an existing IP. Who knows? Just usually they put stuff down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will add this for the sales number. I do know people tend to bring up that Horizon is typically a franchise that gets bundled in and with hardware, and that will count to the unit sales of the game. So there was a Horizon Zero Dawn bundle with PS4. There was a Forbidden West bundle with PS5 for a long time, and for a while that was the only like PS5 console in 2022 you could reliably buy when the supply constraints were still going on. John, if you remember that, it was always the Forbidden West bundle on PS Direct. So no doubt that probably helps the numbers, although I think it's pretty clear that you see that bundle's been long gone now at this point. This franchise moved another, 5 million units. It does well. Yep. It does do well.
Yeah. I think, to me, this just looks so obvious, this case. I'd be shocked if it ends up going on for anything. I kind of feel like this is going to get shut down pretty quick. If I take a guess.
I would think they want to settle. I would think yeah. But as for what the result of that's going to be, I mean, you think they're going to just straight up not put this game out?
That's a good question. I mean, here's the other thing. If this game has multiplayer components to it, this Motirum game, and we're just now talked about a multiplayer Horizon game that Sony might try to push out. So they might also look at this and go, wow, that could create some confusion for us or for customers if they see this and then that Horizon multiplayer game coming out at the same time or around the same time. And I mean, let's be real, you don't want people are making fun. You don't want like a knockoff or Temu branded Horizon out there when you're trying to sell the multiplayer one. So
yeah, well, see, there's that and the NCSoft one too.
Yeah,
they do have that NCSoft one. Probably actually looks much similar to this versus like whatever Guerrilla's doing in house. So
yep,
yeah, I think they want to make sure this thing is never sees the light of day. Next up, we have some hardware news or hardware rumors. Definitely some big stuff going on here. So it's more of a broad PlayStation 6 rumor because PS6 and this rumored handheld kind of go hand in hand. So there's a lot to unpack on this one. This rumor comes from Moore's Law is Dead. And as a reminder to folks that have not been super privy to the ongoing rumor, they were initially given some early PS5 Pro press material, or not press material, dev documentation. It was genuine. They even had one of their videos taken down from SIE. So, it's just something to bear in mind as far as reliability goes. But they do have some more, according to their sources, info on PlayStation 6 with the hardware being codenamed Orion. And it's based off this alleged 2023 AMD presentation given to Sony. Now, the context of this presentation is that it's what AMD is proposing to Sony. It doesn't mean they've agreed to any of these, although he does make it a point to say that this is something that Sony likely was close to agreeing to, and they would have to agree to this stuff early as far as building a console and then securing the allocation and then shipping it by, let's say, 2027. And that is the rumored launch, which would be mid-2027 for manufacturing, with a fall 2027 release or up to early 2028. So we'll start with just PlayStation 6, the main console. So this will be a chipset design, RDNA 5 or UDNA, depending on what they decide to call that from AMD's point of view, based on a 3-nanometer node. It will have backwards compatibility with PS5 and PS4 software. They also went out of their way to clarify that PS3 was not mentioned in the material they were given or what they saw, which I think kind of goes without saying, but there's a big emphasis on cost constraints and keeping power consumption down. So a TDP of about 160 watts, whereas as a comparison, the fat PS5 from 2020 would average about 200 watts during gameplay. PS5 Pro averages about 215 watts. So that gives you some context as far as maybe what they're looking to do there. Other specs that were presented, 8 Zen 6 cores, 40 to 48 RDNA 5 compute units, but they think that might actually be possibly more at 3 gigahertz. Memory would be GDDR7. Rasterization would be about 3 times the standard PS5 consoles, and ray tracing is expected to be much higher, about a 6 to 7 times jump over the base console that we have right now. That's PlayStation 6. And then there's the handheld after. But for now, how do we feel about PS6?
Well, how much do we want this thing to cost? That's really the starting line. It's like, where do we want this to be a $600? Do we want this to be an $800, $1,000? that's the conversation we have immediately with next generation, because we see that PS5 Pro starting at 7 without a disk drive. So for us, it's really like 780, with the disk drive, and it would look awkward at that still being in the market. But there are ways they can get around that. They can discontinue it. They can drop its price. I think the smart thing would be just, to be honest, discontinue it, especially if the PS6, as we figure and as is mentioned, is backwards compatible. It's like, you might as well buy the PS6 then. And they may as well manufacture the PS6 then. As mentioned, 3 nanometer node and everything. So to me, I would actually prefer, because I think we're kind of at least I feel like we're at that mark of how much better are these visuals going to realistically get? And then is the trade-off for dumping more money into it from our angle worth it then? Because I bought the PS5 Pro, and the system so far has been, it's operated well. I've had no real issues with it, but there are times where, you get a new game and I'm like, I wonder if was this worth the upgrade for this game? Some games it's obvious, other games like, I don't know. But the fact that you kind of have that question, I do wonder about next generation with how much is worth it to the end consumer if it was 800 versus it was a little weaker and at 600. I'm kind of in the mindset of $600. It does 4K and then some 8K. I don't even know if in 2 or 3 years I'm going to be thinking 8K. I'm still thinking about when I go up to a new OLED model, just a better 4K OLED. That's kind of the way I'm considering what features does it have with VRR or 120 hertz or just the panel and HDR just being more vibrant, higher quality. And that's kind of the direction these TVs are going in. Like I've been watching LG, I think they're C4, they're C5. It's just a brighter version of the generation before. So they're just making the panel look better at that same resolution. So I know Sony likes to clearly push the TV space forward as well with not only their TVs and their panels, but also their system. But there's to me, there's a limit to that. 8K even feels like it's pushing it right now. So with that in mind, I actually like the report, what we're hearing, because my concern is that we show up to next generation and these systems become almost unattainable for most people. That was always the beauty of the console space. You're not getting the incredibly powerful PC, but you're also getting a system that when the PS4 came out was $400. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then the PS4 Pro comes out, slots in at $400. It's like it's very sensitive to just cost, and just pricing. So I think uplifting ray tracing makes sense. Mark Cerny has said, hey, ray tracing has kind of just been tapped a little bit. Like we're still scratching the surface on that. And we think it can alter and improve a lot of the way these games look more than we're even thinking of now. Makes sense that you would work to improve that. And then clearly they're all about this reconstruction and AI upscaling. My gosh, that's all they want to talk about. Next year, they're going to have the update where they're going to take FSR 4, kind of integrated in with PSSR, and it's going to be their next generation version of that. And I think that's what we're going to see. Better CPU, which makes sense. We're going to Zen 6, and I'm sure that on that end, it'll be better and keep up with the higher frame rates. And just in terms of world building and logic and physics, all of that will be covered. And then we'll just see better upscaling techniques to where it's hard to tell between native and just upscaled 4K. And I think that's good. I'm still wondering, Ryan, is there any other twist or something that we're missing here?
No, I think the twist is ML and ray tracing.
Okay.
I think that was Mark Cerny being pretty forward during that PS5 Pro presentation. Because it's like very rare towards the end of those kind of presentations do they talk so candidly about what the future looks like. And when he's got a chart next to him and he's legitimately saying, like word for word, basically, we don't think rasterization is where the gains are going to be. It's going to be ray tracing and ML. Well, that sounds like some key pillars for PlayStation 6. And to your point, this is absolutely, I think, what they should be doing. I mean, I think we talked about it before. It's like, just phase out PlayStation 5 Pro before this thing shows up, because you kind of have to. Otherwise, the optics make no sense whatsoever. Moreover, I believe, because that's the contingent point of PS5 Pro's price tag, is that console, they've got we don't know how much, but probably a pretty healthy profit margin on that console. Base PS5, when it came out, digital was losing money. Disc console lost money. They both lost money for a little bit. Disc went because it was at $500. Disc went profitable for a little bit. I think digital was never profitable. I think it never was. And that's why it went up to $450. And that's why it's still, the disc console still standing firm at $500 as well, where that might have went back under, like they're underwater on that console. So they still subsidize. But Pro, it's like, no, that's our low volume. We'll make money on that thing. So the question always was, going into PlayStation 6, will they return to the subsidy model? And I think if they want to do that, yeah, the compromise is going to be what might sound maybe to some unimpressive. But I mean, that's the other thing about consoles. They always tend to punch above their weight. You know, they're highly optimized boxes with a really good solid SDK and developers that know what they're doing. You get a Last of Us 2 on PS4. I think you'll still see some pretty incredible looking things, but yeah, we don't need 8K. Don't you think this thing's going to be like a 4K 120 box or something?
That's good for me. I'm good with that.
And then what, like later life cycle games could be like 4K 30 path tracing games just to be like visually stunning, but then you turn off path tracing to get your frames back. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what we're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big hurdle they should try to overcome here is how expensive ray tracing is, because we hear ray tracing and look, still images they show us where they do the thing where they're like, oh, it's on, now it's off, now it's on, now it's off. And you're like, okay, that does look good. But then they go, okay, now it's 60, now it's 30, now it's 60, now it's 30. It's like, well, okay, that was cool. I'll take the 60. At least for me. Yeah. I know you are, Ryan. You're like turning that fidelity mode on.
No, John, you don't put words in my mouth. It depends on the genre. I will do a 30 FPS game depending on genre. However, most of the time I'm doing 60. Or hey, let's get an Insomniac. What's wrong with these RT performance modes? It's beautiful stuff on base consoles. Yeah. It's magical. Yeah, but that's the thing. I think PS6 would be like, you'd see a lot of 60 FPS, 4K with ray trace, like no compromise ray tracing on kind of thing. It is kind of that have it cake and eat it too approach.
I like to see them try to figure out the price point first and then build around that. Personally, I know the PS5, it's pretty clear the PS5 Pro, they were like, we have a $500, $450, even a $380 refurbished model. It's there for people. Let's just build a $700 system, whatever. And in a way, it's worked for them to research and develop their machine learning stuff. That was a big focus for them. Great. Because you don't need to buy it to be in the PlayStation 5 quote unquote ecosystem. But day one at launch for the PS6, that's the system you buy, and that's it. If you want to be part of it. Now, to me, the big question will be 600 with no disk drive. Is that the default thing? Are they just going to launch immediately no disk drive? You got to buy the disk drive separately.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and it will sting a lot if, let's say, the standard console has no drive, and that's like the additional. Oh, okay, sure, it's 600, but really, if if you're that kind of person like me, where you have all this bullshit behind you, it's a $700 system. So, or maybe they get this thing to 5. Who knows if they get it to 500? I don't know. I mean, things change pretty rapidly. I don't think it would be.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I would be. I think 500 would be pretty impressive. But 600, I think, would maybe sound a little bit right by the time. This would be 2027 or early 2028. Yeah. So I think that's 600 sounds about right.
Maybe 3 years from now. 3 years ago, things were cheaper. So like 3 years from now, who knows what prices are going to look like. So that to me is the biggest part, is planning that far ahead with how all over the place economic factors and headwinds or whatever are right now. Who knows what this thing's going to be priced at. But they would have to in some way subsidize it, I would assume. And maybe that's the way they subsidize it. It's a digital system out of the gate. And you can buy a disk drive separately, and that's it. Because let's face it, Ryan, while you and I will buy the disk drive, large majority of the people who are going to buy it are be like, I'll get it later. I'll get the disk drive later, right? And then by the time they think about getting it again, they'll have a bunch of digital games. Like, maybe I don't need that disk drive. Huh.
Yeah.
It's just going to build that digital ratio that much faster.
Yeah. I mean, how much more faster could it get? Their quarters are already looking at like 70% digital,
Yeah. I mean, I assume next generation with the PS6 is the last physical media generation, which, hey, by then we'll be talking about like 2035 or 2036.
Yeah. Well, that's
who knows what the world will think by then.
A lot of their games are still they do lean a lot more physical than some tend to think. Nearly 50%, sometimes over 50%. And that's their own games. So, I mean, that's at that point, it's a conflict of interest. So,
yeah, it might also get a little weird when Microsoft probably just goes all digital for the next generation. You know, that's just another part of the market that gets phased out there. So,
well, I mean, that's the other, like, not to go off on a tangent here, but that's like what Push Square just had a story about this. Like that one game announced during the direct, Chronos. No, it was like Bloober Team's game, Chronos.
Yep, Chronos. Yeah, New Dawn. Yep.
Yeah, that survival horror game. Switch 2 game key card, digital on Xbox. PS5 is the only Blu-ray. It's the only full game on a disc. I did not think, especially with Nintendo, where half their like bottom line is still primarily physical software, well, not primarily, but it's half physical software.
Yep.
I didn't think this was the timeline we'd be in.
I know, right?
It's full print for PS5.
It's basically, if you want, like Nintendo, the only people really using the full cards are Nintendo. There's a couple of outlier third parties, but yeah, it's just like game key cards everywhere. It's like a sea of game key cards. And you know what the worst part is, Ryan, about the game key cards? I get it. The storage stuff, the whole thing. Oh, it's not on the card. You got to call to the internet. Man, that white banner looks like trash on that box. And I'm sorry.
I like just on like principle, like the other really, like it's the big cherry on top, ruining the box art as well.
I mean, come on. We talked about the blue banner, and you wouldn't see it everywhere on those. Man, you see these game key cards everywhere. You just like see the white banner in your sleep. It's like, gosh, why do they got to ruin like 20% of the box art? You know, that's just.
Well, I was gonna say too, like the other games that are like basically smart delivery games. Essentially, they have both prints on the game card. That still has a banner on it. It's just like a transparent, like gray, like that's still eating up the box art too. Dear God, what are we doing here? Sacrilege. We're ruining paper.
It's some disgusting stuff happening there.
Oh, it's gross. It is gross.
But it is interesting that we're in the timeline where, yeah, a lot of the PS5 games that ship, you can just install from the disc. There's still this mentality going around of people saying you have to download all of them. You don't. You can most of them. There's that website, Does It Play or whatever.
Does It Play? Shout out to the crew. Yep. I will beat that drum all day, every day. I'll always remind people, doesitplay.org. You are primarily wrong about how you feel about modern games. Almost always.
But doesn't defeat the point that the younger generation, man, they don't have that attachment to the physical. You know, it's weird.
That's true.
Recently, when my kids opened up some of the games and stuff, they're going through them, and they just like opening the cases and looking in there. They get to one of the GameCube games that I have here, right? They grab it and they open it up and they're like, what's this thing? What is this? What's this? Manual. I'm like, that's the manual. Like, what's that? Like, we used to get a manual with the game and it tells us about the game. And I'm like, why?
They didn't ask if that was they didn't ask if that was the pre-order bonus. Where's the code, Dad?
No, they're just confused by the manual. Like, I don't understand. What is this? It's really funny how that really was like a past generation. You know, we were like the fossils, man.
I mean, when I was speaking with Ryan Brown from Lost and Cult's new publishing label, he made a great point, which is that generational turnover. The generation coming in, they do not have a concept of owning their media. They just don't. It's just not. They grew up not owning CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, and games. That's going to hurt the next cycle of consoles in a way where, well, to us it hurts, to them not so much.
They'll never know the excitement. You know what? One of the best like childhood memories was, Ryan, back in the day, is when you're getting the car ride to the video game rental store on Friday night. Come on, when you're like
the drive to it.
Yeah, dude, think about that. Like the excitement, the thought of what you could rent when you get there, because your mom or dad might be like, you can rent like 2 things. You get a movie and a game. All right. You're like, okay. All right. Or if you have friends over for, the weekend or something, okay, we'll let you guys get 4 things. Oh, okay. So it was an exciting time. And I thought about like, man, my kids are not going to know at all what a rental store is.
No,
I have thought about, there's that last Blockbuster. It's still around, right? I've thought about it. Like, could I convince my wife to go to Bend? It's Bend, Oregon. It's like some random place, right? I'm like, I'd be like, yeah, it's gonna be a great summer vacation. It's Bend, Oregon.
Can you still like go? I thought they turned it into like an Airbnb or some shit. They made it into like a
Did they?
Yeah, something
I'm
like
sure
that.
That's the sell.
I don't think you can just go in there and like run a fucking DVD, John. I think you have to like book it or
Really?
something. Yeah, I'm
Oh, I
pretty
didn't know
sure.
that. I thought it was still. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've never really searched. I'll admit I haven't searched for rental stores anytime recently. Is that?
Well,
Can
so
you
John,
search and find them around you?
we here in Buffalo, we had some like I think into 2020. They're all dead. They're super fucking dead. But we had them like I want to say 4 years ago at least. 4 or 5 years ago. It was Family Video. We had
Oh,
a family video.
okay.
Yeah, we
I
had
like
them.
it.
We had them like not that long ago.
Hollywood Video. I had one of those
Family
by me. It
Video. opened
opened up and it put that mom and pop store out of business in like 3 weeks. It was quick.
Didn't stand a chance.
No. I remember renting like Mario RPG there, and I had to rent it like 3 times. That stupid cake killed me the first time.
Stupid cake.
Yeah, that cake was difficult, man. When you were a kid, that was tough.
Yeah, jeez.
I had to hope I got the one with my save file on it too. It was a whole thing. I put a little mark. I put like a little mark with like a Sharpie on the back, top left corner, so I could look through the plastic case and see if it was mine or not when I went to rent it. Hope no one.
Ridiculous, John. That's ridiculous.
Hey, sorry to Hollywood Video in Newark. My bad if that was
damaging their property.
That thing. Half the time they put a big sticker right on the front label anyway. So
that was the worst part too. What were we doing? We got off on a tangent here. Yeah, so that's PlayStation 6. Now, I mean, obviously it's all rumor too. Alleged sources with Moore's Law is dead, so bear that in mind. The thing is, as far as like the BS read counter here, like this all sounds like if this were true, I see how it's true. It's not at all unusual based on what we're hearing. But again, this rumor was combined with the other one, which was, we've been following this for a while. Sony is building 2 SoCs, with one being a local play handheld. So the other one is kind of the same deal. We have a 2023 presentation from AMD to Sony. This one is codenamed Canis. So this would be the PS6 handheld. This would be on a monolithic chip on a 3-nanometer die. And Moore's Law claims they were able to verify this from modern documents. So kind of the same thing. It's compatible with PS5 and PS4 software. They said the handheld itself, however, is going to sport a micro SD slot, M.2 slot. It's going to have haptics, dual microphones, and a touchscreen, and a USB-C port, which would have a video out feature. This device would have a 15-watt TDP, so pretty modest compared to the other bulky, 30-watt handhelds. 12 to 20 RDNA5 compute units, 1.6 to 2 gigahertz. Memory is LPDDR5X, 7500 or faster, and the expected performance would be 0.5 of a standard PlayStation 5. And again, ray tracing is expected to be higher than actually even the standard console. So ray tracing would see a leap above the standard console, but as far as like general rasterization, 0.5 of a PlayStation 5. And the timing is also around the same as well. So manufacturing mid-2027, then launching fall or early 2028. Now, the thing is, John, we have a PS5 beta firmware going on right now. The feature is not turned on, but the low power mode, the low power mode that we were talking about, which granted Sony does have very much a real public net zero goal by fiscal year 2040. However, the low power mode, when this thing gets turned on and we can all start testing this shit, if this shit shows that it's like half the console's power, I mean, I don't know how that, like, does that not telegraph what the company's doing?
You got to test that, Ryan. You got to test the frame rate on some games. You got to go crazy.
If it cuts the power in half and this thing is expected to be 0.5 of a standard console, I mean, what does that tell you? If they want this thing
one of those things that measures the wattage, don't you?
I could buy one beforehand, yeah.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, we'll figure it out somebody will do it. Somebody will beat me to it, but we'll find out,
Yeah, but we want to watch you do it. We want to
thank you, John.
The frame rate testing and the wattage. You could have that up while you're playing the game to see, and then just compare it like in a separate window right next to you while you're playing. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely will take a look at it. That's for sure. But I mean, that's the handheld rumor. How does that shape up for you, John? How does that sound?
It's getting more real.
Yeah.
This is which is great. I do think we need Sony back in the handheld scene. I think we need. So I know we have all these PC handhelds that are showing up, but let's face it, there's been a reserved seat for Sony for how long now? Like, we've just been waiting, hoping that it would pull them back in. Yeah, I mean, come on, look. How many of these companies can say we made a handheld that sold 80 million plus systems?
So for context, these portable PCs, everyone would have you think they've sold like 50 million units. Lifetime, they're at like what, 5-6 million, and that's
the
between
Switch
all.
2 has already outsold it.
Yeah, like
the
between
entire thing, all of them,
yeah,
yes.
like between ROG, Steam, like Steam Deck's got the most. Steam Deck's at like 4 something million, I think, and then the other 2 million are everybody else. So the market is actually just Nintendo right now.
Mhm.
It's just them. I mean, Sony's an established platform holder, now they're walking into an environment where if it's kind of like the Deck or a Switch where you log in and your stuff just works, we don't have to worry about devs porting their games to PS Vita properly using a quirky back touch thing. No, this thing just works. And I think it's propped up very well to probably sell much better than Vita ever did.
Yeah, I see. I saw somebody say that Stefan says saying that Sony might wipe the floor with Nintendo if this handheld is true. I don't think so because Nintendo has Pokemon. That's one of the biggest things. They have Pokemon, Mario, Zelda. That their endless vault of franchises and IPs. It's so hard to match that. But they don't need to beat Nintendo with just their handheld. This would be Sony going, oh, we have this 2-tier approach, and we're able to kind of hit all of our bases if we can here. And then they also have. I think they'll continue to build out their streaming stuff too. I don't think that's just going to stop, right? So they'll have all these different lanes to connect to consumers. And like I assume they'll get streaming to the point where maybe if you buy one of their TVs, it's built in. Maybe they'll start giving people dual senses or something with the TVs. I don't know, but like I think that'll eventually become a thing for that. Like they're looking to expand quite a bit overall. And the handheld market is. I know the PC handheld is like, it's not as big as people necessarily say it is. I still think it's pretty impressive that Valve just kind of like, we feel like making a handheld. And I think they have done the best job with Steam Deck because they haven't gone, hey, the Steam Deck is $1,100. It's like, whoa. Have you seen some of these PC handhelds show up? And they're like, oh, it's more than $1,000. Like, why would I buy the Steam Deck? I can get refurbished for $300. Why wouldn't I just buy that? Like, it's look at all this cool stuff it can do with the Lenovo Legion Go or whatever. It turns into a mouse. It's like, all right, it's still 3 times as much or something.
Well, it seems like Valve's taken that very calculated approach too of like, we're not doing that Gen 2 version until it like makes sense. Yeah.
You wait until there's a legitimate leap in terms of AMD, really. There's hanging out waiting. They need memory bandwidth to increase. There's a lot of stuff, hurdles that they need to clear for that. A lot of speed bumps along the way. I think they will, they'll figure it out. AMD and Valve will, but they're also the ones who get in communication with Valve and they actually create a new chip alongside of them. And that's what they did with the Steam Deck. So they have some very impressive engineers at Valve as well. And they're private companies. So they can just kind of do stuff like this. I don't say for fun, but just to test the market. And we get the Steam Deck out of it, which is really cool. Because before that, they tried some things. The Steam machine is like, like I would love to see now Sony enter handheld market. I'd love to see then Valve enter the console market. Kind of like them both pass each other sort of to each destination, I think that'd be really cool. And I just like to see the competition in the marketplace. Sony, I think with the Vita brought a lot to the table. And unfortunately, that system did not work out for them, even though let's all be real here. You pick up a Vita now. And if I gave somebody a Vita, never used it before, and I said, yeah, it came out like 2 or 3 years ago, I think they believe me.
I mean, because the Vita was really impressive for its time. Golden Abyss still looks like really, really good.
I mean, it had to be in good condition, obviously. It can be like, oh, you can tell it's 11 years or 13 years of wear or whatever on it. But if I give you,
the semantics of a pre-owned Vita. Yes. Yeah, sure, John.
But if I give you like the OLED day one Vita from 2011, like here, this came out a couple of years ago. They're like, oh wow, an OLED screen. It's got Bluetooth built in, Wi-Fi. That's weird. AT&T 3G, but everything else looks pretty good. It would be, but like it's touch screen, back touch for some reason. It's got a lot going on. It pushed a lot of boundaries for the handheld space, and it went right up against the glass to where you had those big experiences on the go, but it couldn't quite break through because the technology just was not there yet. Whereas the Switch comes in, kind of picks up the ball and runs with it because the technology just got there with the X1.
I mean, well, I think pound for pound, the Vita had a marketplace problem. It's just the wrong time to do a Vita.
Yeah. Also, they had to split their studios.
Well, yeah. Well, it's just like, yeah, you can't tie up studios because it was a different dev environment. Like, that's the beauty of this thing, is that it wouldn't necessarily be the kind of constraint that one would think it is, because you can log in and it doesn't have a software problem. When you can download every PS4 and 5 game and it launches on this thing, there is no software problem. At that point, it's simply consumer preference. How do you want to play your PlayStation games from now on? You know, it's all these companies are trying to just buy your time at this point. It's obviously ecosystem based and platform based, but that's also why they're so open with shipping games everywhere, because they just want your time, and your time also equals money. But that's like part of why, like, as far as lifetime sales go, there's not even like pressure for this thing. Could be another Vita, and actually Sony's okay with that because it doesn't have the pressure to deliver whatever amount that it needs to deliver. I would think that by the time this and PS6 comes out, I wouldn't be shocked if Sony doesn't even like break down lifetime sales between the two. They just lump them together. Install base of this, these two systems is at whatever number, and it's going to sound pretty impressive because the handheld's like bolstering it,
I think, I think the idea of this having access to PS4 and PS5 day one, that entire library, is a very intriguing offer to where people go, oh, wow, that's because we still wonder about the Switch 2 third-party support currently. And the backwards compatibility is great with the Switch, but even that clearly missed out on third-party support, where Sony gets the vast majority, if not just about all of it, to where that is a massive library. And think about somebody who comes back to PlayStation because they have this handheld, they're like, oh, that's really cool. I'll go back to it. We all figure it's going to be digital only, but I assume so. I don't think they're going to play around with a cartridge of some kind, nothing like that. Look, it's digital. That's just kind of the way it is. But coming back to it, and you go, okay, this plays all the PS4 and PS5. Oh, I just get PlayStation Plus extra premium, and boom, massive library of games. Now they're kind of in the ecosystem, and Sony has them for a subscription service. And I think the business angle that they would be pursuing, I think the math adds up. I think it makes sense for them. So yeah, to me, this is good news. The fact that we get these kind of specs again from, I'd say, a more reliable source for Sony stuff than anything else, because Sony themselves have shown us that they will go and strike this information that they've had unless they retype it into a new slide without any potential markings or copyright info from developer backend stuff. So to me, this is exciting all the way around. A Sony handheld, I think would be great to have to put alongside of Nintendo to maybe get them going, oh, Sony is back in the handheld scene. And one other thing, Ryan, I think this PlayStation
John, I didn't hear a word you said. No.
How about now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. I said I think the PlayStation is portable. Let's see a bit of a revival in Japan for Sony's brand with gaming.
Yes.
Okay.
Good point. Yeah, for sure.
I said just a little bit more of a roundabout.
Here's my question to you, John. Because this is stirring the pot a little bit, right? Does Sony mandate developer support for PlayStation 6 onward? So if you ship a PlayStation 6 game, do you have to make sure that you are supporting this handheld? Which some are proposing the idea of, oh God, are we walking into a Series S situation on PlayStation?
So
you kind of have to mandate support, right? But also, does that create an issue?
I think it'll be on Sony. I think it'll be on Sony's end to make sure that it's very seamless for the developers. But here's the thing: people looked at the specs or the idea of it's going to be half as powerful as the PS5, right? It's 0.5x or something rasterization. We just got done talking about all this machine learning work that they're doing right now for upscaling, and we're talking about the system. What resolution do you think they're going to ship the system with for the screen?
Oh, it's 1080.
1080p. That's what their target is. And you know what? Maybe they target 900p and they're like, we'll use machine learning for the most part to get it upscale. They may even do 720, but we'll upscale it 1080p. So I think people are reading into just the brute force of this system, the handheld, a little too much, because a lot of people started to do that with the Switch 2, and now they're being kind of surprised by what the system's able to do. And it's like, yes, because when they build these systems from the ground up with a certain resolution in mind, or you see that they're able to squeeze a ton out of the hardware. It's not like this PC gaming handheld kind of all-purpose device with the chipset in there and the as much memory bandwidth as they can. They can do stuff and to get more out of it, and I think target a better battery life. Like the way that it was kind of being described here, I think this might be a legitimate portable device. Like I don't think it's gonna have Joy-Cons or some whatever their version of that is. I think it should be a one-piece device, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was like a 3 or 4 hour battery life on that thing. Still a lot of variables we need to see, but just kind of what's being described, the amount of power that's being at least guessed at for what it's going to pull. I think it'll be something that won't feel like, oh wow, this is that console in like a handheld form that's going to get 2 hours if I'm turning the brightness down. No, I think it'll go for a 3 or 4 hour battery life.
No, I 100% agree. I think that's the disconnect here, is that you've got a system that's going to be targeting like 4K 120 for probably a lot of games, or like very intense 4K 60 ray tracing on type of experiences. And then this thing is going to be, internal res for like a lot of games will target like even as low as 640p or something insane. If the ML is like really good and really impressive, you've got like a 8 something times frame difference or frame budget between what the portable is expecting and what this thing's PS6 is expecting. Jesus Christ. So I think there's headroom. I don't think this is a problem necessarily. I mean, I'd always like play the devil's advocate for like the Series S, just in the sense that, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of developers like have aired out grievances with Series S. It always came down to like a memory budget, and that's still far and few between as far as like the type of experiences, the scope and size of certain games. Like, does it happen occasionally when some studio comes up and says this thing's a huge pain in the ass? Absolutely. Would we see that for the handheld and PS6? Maybe, but there's always going to be bottlenecks somewhere. I think there's a ceiling on just the amount of studios that can even like push PS6. I think like 99% of games that are going to run and play on this thing are probably going to be just A-okay.
Well, the Switch 2 has 12 gigabytes of RAM. I would assume this handheld, when it comes out in a couple of years, probably have at least 16. And let's face it, the PS5 cross-gen period is probably going to be longer than the PS4 cross-gen period.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll probably have the PS5 in 2034, 2035, still kind of rolling along getting games.
Yeah. I would think it's not going to be that much of an issue.
I mean, it's not going to. My question, though, Ryan, is the video out thing. I don't know if that's going to be a great experience, to be honest, with some of these more demanding games. It's interesting, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I think it'd be like very similar to like when, the easiest parallel here is the PSP's video out. I don't think those games look all that great when you put them out to a TV, but yeah, you could do it. There's a novelty to it.
Still had to like hold the I remember still just holding the PSP and be like, this is incredible. Like this 480 thing blown up to this. I had like one of those big old projection screens. Remember those things?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So, I think people would welcome that utility versus not having it,
Yeah. I mean, it's better than nothing, because they're going to be like indie games and stuff that probably do look decent, are pretty good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
On screen. Or backwards compatible games. PS4 games might look really good.
Price. What do we think for price?
I kind of feel like it might match the system.
Yeah, like just straight up, you hit like either get your console or the handheld.
Yeah, it might be 6 and 6.
6 and 6. Oh, that's
600, 600.
That is steep for a handheld.
I know. I'd like to see him hit 500, but I'll be real, Ryan. We might see the Switch 2 go up to 500 before.
Why? That's the other context, is that the Switch 2 itself might not stay $450 for a while. So, you gotta think about
prices don't go down anymore. Prices don't go down.
Yeah, you're right.
600.
In my head, I'm like 500 and 600 sounds like really nice for these, but I think I'm being a little bit hopeful with the handheld.
Start saving now.
Start saving now. All right, you want to get into?
I'd rather somewhat overshoot it and then be surprised. Happily surprised.
Okay.
But I think 600 is good. I think a lot of us were a bit surprised by that PS5 Pro, so I'm kind of thinking, okay, 500 would be nice, but it's probably 600 in my mind. Like, I'm just gonna say that.
Okay, so save $3,500 and you'll be happy when it gets announced and you're just beating down the door to give Sony $1,200.
Oh, just be happy when you buy that handheld from Sony and 6 months later they release this awesome special edition version for some gamer anniversary.
And they'll probably do that too. All right. You want to move on to some game?
Oh, what's the name?
Here?
What's the name of the handheld real quick?
Oh, the name of it?
Yeah.
I don't know that it would name it. I don't know.
I thought about this.
We're in uncharted territory.
They have like PS6, right? I wonder if they have a thing where it's like where they take the 6 and flip it around through an animation or something and it turns into a PSP again. So it's PS6 portable.
So they just call it, I was about to say, they just call it PSP.
I thought about them just using PSP again. I'm thinking the 6, I mean, they can flip that around and it turns into a PSP, but they can just kind of show that off as like PS6 portable or something.
I think it'd be really tough to guess the name of it. Maybe there's a name that makes a lot of sense and we're just not seeing it. But I think when you look at historically, they called the PSP sequel PS Vita, which that was unknown at the time. And then PlayStation VR's sequel headset got a number.
Yeah.
PS VR 2. Maybe they call it PSP 2. I don't know.
The issue is I think they want people to still see it as part of the PS6 family. So I almost like PS6 has to be in there. And the easy, obvious thing is literally just PS6 portable.
I mean, it might also be just an Occam's razor kind of thing. The easiest solution is that. I don't know. All right, let's move on to China Joy.
Oh, can I read a couple of these the super chats people came out with here?
Yes, go ahead, John.
Valen Horn says John just was recommended your 20K sub video. Crazy to see the change. You still have you saw the brown couch and the old jerseys. I do have the old jerseys. I think the brown couch, those have been retired, I believe. I don't think they're in storage anymore. I think they're just gone. And Ryan, come back to Saturday. You gotta get Ryan back there so we can talk about Pokemon.
I've been trying to come back to a Saturday every now and again, and I'm always doing something.
We'll get Ryan back. I mean, whenever the Pokemon games get announced, he'll have to come back. He has no choice. Superman says should focus on lighting. I don't care about 8K, more polygons, etc. People will be surprised at how better lighting can transform games. Portal, Minecraft, Half-Life. Yes.
100% agree. I think that is how PS6 will probably be defined, as lighting in games.
Kimino says, invite Tom from Moore's Law is Dead to a click L3. Smaller talk.
Oh, interesting play there. Do a little click R3 fireside chat.
Interesting. Okay, keep that in mind, Kimino. Victor says, do you guys think that PS6 physical disc games will be able to store more than 100 gigabytes? Maybe Sony can make a super UHD disc for the PS6 and it can store 150 gigabytes or 200 gigabytes for the next generation.
I don't think they need to do that. I think the second you try to introduce a separate proprietary disc that has to go through its own assembly line, you're asking for what Nintendo is going through right now with the Switch 2 game cards. You have to think about the price per disc. So right now, if a studio wants to do 2 discs on PS5, one Blu-ray disc, one Ultra HD Blu-ray on PS5, I believe the going rate is a little bit higher than what people think. They tend to think it's like, $1 or something. It's actually like $5 to up to $6, $7 I've heard. So, at the bare minimum, that means they're looking at like $16 or something if they want to do a second one. You try to open up a whole new assembly line, make a whole new type of disc. I think that complicates matters even more.
I think there was mention that Sony is not developing like consumer level, like media beyond what they have right now with the PS5 or the PS5 Blu-ray, which is like a Blu-ray UHD XL or something like that. There was discussion that they might do that years ago, and I think we found out in a report that they were just going to not because, again, let's face it, I don't think there's a lot of demand for if they made a 150 gigabyte or 200 gigabyte Blu-ray that's like quad layer or something.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Varang says, hello, C3. Platinum. Oh, Persona 5 Royal. Now on to Outer Wilds. When are we getting the Split Fiction Platinum vid? I love the content as always.
John does this thing where he says we should do this and then we don't do it. So
I know.
Take it up with him. Congrats on your platinum, though.
Yes, we definitely need to at least do the PS2 demos.
I was gonna say you actually spent money on that, so I would think that we're gonna get that one done.
We should do that. Dan says, do we really think Sony is going to push disc past 2030? They're probably going to be the only disc sold in stores. Xbox, Blu-ray, CDs all gone. I do notice the movie section at Walmart keeps shrinking, and the Xbox section is probably going away soon.
Yeah, I mean that's where the business is differing. You might not see much of a retail presence anymore by 2030, but I mean, I think a lot of the business now is online fulfillment anyway. It's kind of why limited print companies even exist. They just a lot of those games, they don't ever show up in a store. They sit in a warehouse until you order them.
Frank says John has more audio problems than Nintendo podcast. Yeah, for some reason the StreamYard and this Chrome browser all of a sudden lose my mic sometimes, but it happens like once every 2 hours, 3 hours, or something like that. It's so random. I don't know what the deal is. You got me. Grizzly Bear King says I came here looking for the best. Sony sues Tencent while more PS6 handheld rumors hit the internet. Parentheses podcast on the internet, and that's exactly what I found. Thank you. You're welcome, Grizzly Bear King.
Well, nobody's going to beat that exact episode. We are the place to get it.
Yes, I tried to set it apart using parentheses randomly in the title. I don't know if that works. I like to, for the shows, I like to come up with some weird thing for them, all them random ones. So in this case, I put parentheses in our titles now. I don't know.
There you go.
We'll test it. If Ryan doesn't show up Saturday, can I have his spot?
I think you can have it. Yeah, why not? You just got to talk about Pokemon.
Yes, we need Pokemon. Well, those are all the chats we have there. Shout out to the live viewers. Appreciate the support. Of course, you can also check out Ryan down below in the description. I have his channel link there as well.
Yes. Thank you all so much for being here. I love you all dearly. I see you all in the chat.
Yeah, we have almost 300 people watching live right now, Ryan.
Really? I didn't even look at the number, to be honest. I just got my show notes here.
Late night show.
And then you. I'm staring down the barrel of John right now.
Good stuff.
All right, I've tried to start the story about 18,000 times, so let's kick it off now. Sony announces new game partnerships at ChinaJoy 2025. So that's also going on next to EVO. So with ChinaJoy, they did confirm Phase 4 of the China Hero project that is about to begin. They'll be accepting applications soon, apparently. They've got more investment going on, so they are, I guess, fully funding or like upping their investment in 2 games, Dabo Land of Waterscar and Exilage, and those are like playable right now on the show floor, I believe. And Sony also announced a new strategic partnership with Virtuos for code development. We don't know exactly what that is. And also RichTap for haptic feedback development. And they'll be collaborating alongside PS Studios Visual Arts. That could also be kind of a long-term, maybe that goes into a PS6 kind of thing. But the code development sound interesting. Because Virtuos, very big team. Right now they're doing the remake for MGS3. So what could that be, John?
Yeah, people tend to forget how big Virtuos really is. Like
they're
almost 4,000 employees or something.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
They just got they had hit with layoffs though too, right? One of their projects were canned or something. So
yeah, I think that
happens.
People are tying it to Microsoft or they have so many contracts in play at all times. It is kind of hard to necessarily link to any one company, but I also know Microsoft went through a lot of cutbacks, so that's why it's most likely has to do with that. But Virtuos is kind of that unsung company behind the scenes that does so much work in the industry. So it's hard to necessarily guess as to what it could be, but
it could be anything. It could literally be anything, but I think them tapping them is not exactly shocking. The amount of investment they are doing with studios in China is it's a lot. They are really doubling down in the marketplace, and I'm happy to see Phase 4 is announced as well, because it's kind of incredible the amount of really interesting, unique things that we're seeing out of China nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like, for example, a good segue to Phantom Blade Zero. So we had new gameplay come out for that. PS5 console exclusive, 20 minutes of footage, a lot of uncut sequences captured on PlayStation 5. John, did you see this trailer? Is that like 3-something million views? That was like crazy.
You know what's reminding me of? It's reminding me of Black Myth Wukong a bit. Remember how excited people got, the viewership those trailers got every time they released it? And it's just, this one stands out quite a bit from the aesthetics, but just the choreography, the animation, the action. It's one of those situations where it looks too good to be true at times, but we thought the same thing about Black Myth Wukong, and that ended up being true. And I honestly think in Black Myth Wukong, I think I like 40 some odd hours in that game. It was good. It was fun. So that's kind of the category I'm putting Phantom Blade Zero in right now, the Black Myth Wukong category, which is a good place to be because that sold a lot of copies.
No, I think there's like a few games that are sort of falling into that category. It's like surprising that we get these like game announcements or these like long uncut trailers with like gameplay that you're like, this looks too good, you know? And it's almost like they feel inclined to show that much gameplay because they know it looks as good as it does. So that the combat and the gameplay loop, they look very I mean, it's action focused. They always like to remind people with this game, like, we're not a Souls-like. We have difficulty options, which I think is good to at least make that clear. Because I mean, I think if you're just watching the gameplay, you're like, oh, this is another Souls-like.
Is there some Souls fatigue going on right now in the industry?
Proposing the Souls fatigue question.
Yeah, I kind of am right now.
Here's the thing. Fatigue is like a personal question, I think, on a person by person basis. For some, that's going to be yes. For some, it's going to be no. What's undeniable is that you are seeing the gameplay turnover, the sort of flavor of the day, but in the case of video games, the flavor of the half a decade, because that's kind of how this happens. Something shows up, does really well, and then a bunch of things are funded, and then it takes 5 years for those games to come out. And now what you're seeing is you're being inundated with Souls-like games.
Yeah. So I think it is. It's just it's just so saturated with the Souls-like genre, I feel like, at this point. And if you don't have, I think, either a really good idea for maybe a backstory for it, or like when you like Liza P kind of playing into like the Pinocchio stuff, and there's some really cool ideas, but you have to have something that stands out. Otherwise, people are going to go, oh, it's another Souls-like game. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think eventually it will. If a lot of these games start like failing commercially, then I think you'll sort of get your answer on how much fatigue there really is.
It's just funny how some of these developers, some of these companies are like, oh, no, we're not a Souls-like game, guys. Don't worry. We're not like, don't worry.
They kind of want to go out of their way now to clarify that we are not like we don't. Yeah. We play differently. We're action combat. I know we look like it, but it's action combat.
I like how it could just be an action game, whereas back in the day, PS3, 360 even, you'd be like, oh, okay, it's a 3D action game. Now it's like, oh, look at this. It's a 3D action, but look at this Souls-like game, man. Jeez.
Well, I think you can look back at every generation and everything kind of looks samey to a degree. Like at the PS3 360 days were like the Unreal 3 action adventure or first-person shooter game. Like that was the thing. Everyone was on Unreal 3. It had the Unreal 3 bloom. Like they all looked a certain way.
Yep.
So
a lot of gray.
Every generation has it. Oh man. All right. Well, yeah, that's Phantom Blade Zero. Looks good. Still no release date. We also got gameplay out of China Joy from for Pragmata, which I think this is this is the same demo that was shown off during, was it Summer Game Fest, right? So this was not new per se, but I guess we now have the uncut footage. Mm-hmm. And it's the same gameplay that we had heard about, where it's kind of unconventional. So the little girl Diane gets on the guy's back, and you're solving puzzles mid, before you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's very weird looking, but I think if it feels good, that might actually be a breath of fresh air. That's how they say that. Yeah, it looks very weird. So if you've not looked at the Pragmatic gameplay, I say look that up.
I'm glad they came up with at least some kind of unique aspect to it. You know, the idea of puzzle solving while action's going on is different enough to where it feels like its own thing. I don't think it's its own genre like we just talked about Souls-like, but just that little wrinkle is enough, I think, to set it apart.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm sitting there. I watched it earlier today, and I'm like, oh, this is really, I don't know if I like it, but I'm like, I like how it's different. So actually playing it might be something different entirely.
Yeah, no, from Soft Drop, that's the thing. There are games that stand out. Absolutely. But when just a new IP random game shows up and it's Souls-like, I'm sure there are people who go, another Souls-like game. Do I feel like getting into that right now? Sometimes, you don't necessarily want to get into Souls-like every single time. Maybe you just want to play a more laid back game even.
Sometimes you just want to play a coffee talk. Yeah. And by somebody, I mean me.
Mostly you.
I did mostly me. I guess I'm the only one that likes visual novels around here. All right. I did round up some of the. I rounded up some of the. John, you have to finish a Doki Doki Literature Club. Yeah,
you did say that. Yeah, I should finish that, huh?
Yeah, this is your problem. You don't get out of your comfort zone. You got to get out of the box. You got to date some waifus. You don't strike me as a waifu kind of guy.
No. Do you have the waifu pillow over there, Ryan?
I could get it. It's in my bedroom. I sleep with it.
Oh, we got to cut that out.
Well, why? It's showed up in like 3 videos. Like I use it as a bit all the time. I don't lie. Like I have the pillow. Like, what are you talking about? It's Kawakami.
What?
Hideo Kawakami.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, now that we're done with that embarrassment, let's move on to the Nintendo Direct, because as we often like to do, or at least I like to do this, which is break down the new stories that are PS5 specific. That's how these things always go. They have the reveals for all these games. Then you have to check the press release after. Is this game coming to the console I prefer? So in the case of PlayStation 5, we have Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection. That is PS5 next year. Once Upon a Katamari, PS5, coming October 24th, 2025. Just Dance 2026 edition, coming October 14th. Plants vs. Zombies Replanted, October 23rd. Pac-Man World 2 Repack, PS4 and PS5. New PS4 game, John. PS4 version. Coming September 26th. Goodnight Universe is also for PS5, November 11th. NBA Bounce, PS4, PS5, September 26th. The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, PS5, 2026, and Octopath Traveler 0. That's a PS4, PS5 one as well, coming December 4th this year. Last 2 there being some Square games, those HD 2D games, gorgeous looking games.
That art style, it still works. I like the idea of it being an action RPG. That Tales of Elliot, there's a demo. It's kind of like a Zelda-like style game from Square Enix, which is cool.
Yeah.
I do have, so I will say this. We just talked about the Souls-like fatigue. I have concerns that Square could get to a point where they're using HD2D too much.
John, the too much guy over here.
No, people have brought this up. People have brought this
Have
up.
they?
Some HD2D fatigue. I've seen it on social media.
You've seen it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Some people are thinking there might be too much of it.
Maybe I don't play enough games. I see these and I think, oh my God, looks.
Well, I just did I played through Dragon Quest 3 HD2D, right?
Yeah.
Good game. Great game. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 is coming up here pretty soon. I just played the demo for this Adventures Elliot game. Then Octopath Traveler 0 is coming up. So it is kind of like HD2D, like it's over and over again now. So I kind of get that idea. And I'm thinking they might do something weird. So Square, I think, should use HD2D. I think it should be for, well, obviously Octopath, it's going to make sense there. But they're probably going to go back and get some other random game from their past that people have never played. Like we saw with like Live Alive, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm thinking they get Bahamut Lagoon or some weird thing, and people just go, I don't know what that is. But after Live Alive, people bought it and played it, and they're like, wow, I know some people who never heard of it before. Like, wow, this is a really unique game. Mm-hmm. And those are the kind of games we used to get, like weird games. Not necessarily that one because it didn't even come over here, but
well, and people that like they played the game back then, and then they learned 20 years later it's not Live Alive. It's Live Alive.
I know. I used to call it Live Alive all the time because that was one of the most requested translations for like Super Nintendo reproduction cards. People wanted Live Alive, and we kept calling it Live Alive. That was it. You could buy it though on the Super Famicom. You'd bring it in, and I could switch the chip out with like like the one with the ROM and stuff on it. The translation, you can actually pull their game. You can inject the translation and put it back. With a different chip, and it worked. It was pretty cool, but I called it Live Alive. So I don't know.
I think a lot of people did.
But there are still some cool games, but from back then that Square could bring up. But as is mentioned here, yeah, Elliot, it is fun.
It is good. How long is the demo?
I haven't beaten it. I played it here, and I got to a cave where sand was coming down. And you fall down pits, and I was kind of just wandering around in there killing stuff. So I need to go back to it and play through more. They're looking for just feedback for the game from this demo. So save data, I don't think it's going to carry over or anything, but I just wanted to get a feel for how the system play or how the game play with some of the systems they have, and then the visual style, because Octopath Traveler and stuff are turn-based. This is a game where you are just action-based, moving around a lot, and I want to see how HD2 would hold up in that kind of environment. It's good.
Okay. I'm going to take this opportunity to gush about my favorite announcement, Once Upon a Katamari. I damn near lost my shit seeing this.
I figured you were excited.
Oh my God, a new Katamari game. Holy shit.
I figured
That's
you're
it.
excited.
That's it. I'm done. I'm so happy. It looked amazing. Looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
A lot of customization, a lot of like goofy power-ups now. They're really playing around with the gameplay. I'm
Is
so
this
in.
a platinum title for you?
John, that's not even that's like,
Okay.
is that, are you going to breathe air tomorrow? Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Ugh. I'll tell you this. I bought one of those, Fangamer has like a bunch of Katamari merchandise on their site, and they had like a really nice original art poster of Katamari. It's just like, you know, some of the cousins moving Katamaris around, but it's nice prints, like 24 by 36 or something. And we've got like a local, like, I think, no, they're a chain, right? Hobby Lobby. You've heard of Hobby Lobby, right?
Mm-hmm. I've seen that pop up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they little frame stuff for you. So I brought the poster there, and I'm like, can I get this framed? Like, I want a professional framing for this. And sure enough, the guy pulls it out, and he's, you know, all right, so what do you want? I'm like, just a nice black frame. Okay, what kind of mat you want? Like, give it a nice, like, I don't know, 2-inch mat or something. Like, I want this thing to look like a fucking art piece in my living room, right? And then they're just like, so what is this?
Did you then go into your spiel about the greatest game ever made?
I actually did, and then the person was like, no, I just need to like know what it is so I can give it a description.
you went a whole like diatribe about it, and they were like, I just needed, you know, like 4 or 5 things to describe what this is.
I started geeking out about. I'm like, oh, it's Katamari. It's so good. It's like one of the cool. And they let me go on a little bit too long. I was actually a little mad at that point, because by the end of it, it's like, you could have just cut me off like way sooner. You only needed to know what this was for like just the document. But anyway, week later, got it, hung up in the living room.
There you go. Good stuff.
Sometimes I take sometimes I take a nice glass of chocolate milk, walk up to it, stir, just appreciate it.
I like it.
Thank you.
Let me get this from Brian real quick. Why do you say there are too many HD2D? Then there is a survival space horror every 2 months. Same with Madden's, CODs, etc. That's a good question, Brian. Here's why.
Here's
why. Because I don't want HD2D to get to that point to where it's like Kojima mentioned this recently. I do agree. There was a Summer Game Fest where I swear we saw 5 space games in a row, like back to back. And I'm like, man, a lot of people decided it was a good idea 4 years ago to make a space game. And that's my concern, is we get to a position where HD2D is just almost expected from Square at this point, and we're already guessing at the games that are going to come out before they happen. And it doesn't have that same impact. Remember when they first show Octopath Traveler and we're like, whoa, what is this? This looks crazy. And now it's like, there's HD2D. That's kind of cool looking, I guess. I feel like we're just going to keep getting more and more numb to that style as we go along. Whereas if you get one every 5 or 6 years or something, it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. So I don't know. That's just my thought.
John's out here defending his honor.
And then Victor Perez came in with $50 super chat here. Shout out to Victor. Saying, do you guys think after Sony had their heart attack and were embarrassed after the massive failure that Concord ended up being, they decided to break glass in case of emergency plan and told Bluepoint Games to remaster Bloodborne for the PS6?
You know how wild it would be, though, if that is actually like what we're looking at here, is that like Bloodborne's finally propped up as like a PlayStation 6 game?
It would probably be cross-gen, though, right? You think cross-gen?
I mean, they were willing to go arbitrary enough to bar Demon's Souls on PS4. We know there was a PS4 build. Yeah,
that's a fair point. But I think the idea was I don't know if it played into the SSD, because they really hyped that thing up originally, right? Like, oh, the SSD is doing all this cool stuff for us. And then it would have been kind of strange to then be like, this remake is also on the PS4 with the mechanical drive.
Well, I mean, that's how it was with a lot of these games, you know?
Yeah.
The novelty was there, though. I mean, like with Demon's Souls is like super quick. It's great to like die and come back in like 3 seconds or something, you know?
Right. No, Bloodborne is that. Victor Perez is right. It's funny that it's gotten to this point. Is that break glass in case of emergency, but also, hey, we need a really good exclusive game to push this system. And yeah, a remake for Bloodborne would do it.
That's true. I'm not sure I'd conflate that in the sense of like, oh, Concord was a 9-figure failure. Well, let's break the glass for the emergency of 4 years from now with PlayStation 6. I don't know about that leap of logic, but
But
I can see them doing it.
So could you say, because of Sony's cutbacks or this decision to cancel certain live service games that did bring Bluepoint into that conversation because they're working on this multiplayer God of War thing, could they then go, hey, let's kind of go back, at least for this next one, to what you guys are good at, which is clearly they're very good at remaking stuff. You guys want to do Bloodborne and get us ready for the PS6.
Well, again, that's like the weird thing about Bluepoint. It's the most puzzling cancellation because they themselves felt the need to pitch that because they thought it would get approved. It's the thing we have to remind ourselves of. Sony doesn't necessarily assign studios. The studios can pitch themselves and see what they can get funding from Daddy, which in this case, Daddy is Sony. I don't know what position Bluepoint is in. I mean, do they feel a pressure to do a safe pitch? Is a safe pitch Bloodborne? And also, we don't know the nature of why they've never done Bloodborne just yet.
That's fair too.
I think any reasonable person would sit here and look at Bloodborne and think, how the hell has Sony not brought this game back? There's got to be something stopping them from doing it. You know, whether that is like some sort of contractual blessing they need to get from Software, or there's a contractual like stipulation that only From Software can work on the property. We simply don't know. I don't know what position Bluepoint is in. I would think Bluepoint does want to try and pitch something that is going to keep the studio afloat. So maybe they want to be risk averse.
Sure. No, that's fair. I just know that it would get a massive reaction online, and it would immediately put people onto the PS6 right away. No questions asked. I think it'd be $800. I hate saying people, but like there are many that would go, you know what? That's the Bloodborne cost. Okay. That's what they would say to themselves as they click buy it now and put it on the credit card. Let's just be real about that. That would definitely happen. Thank you, Victor. Shout out to Victor.
Shout out to Victor, my boy. You want to move on to a pretty big story here, John. We have the SIE job listing about multi-platform. A senior director of multi-platform and account management. It's a new job listing that got a lot of conversation going in the games business and in enthusiast circles. This job says, and I quote, "You will play a critical role, a leadership role, in shaping and executing the global commercial strategy for PlayStation Studio software titles across all digital platforms beyond PlayStation hardware, including Steam, the Epic Games Store, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile. This role is accountable for optimizing title profitability, ensuring cross-functional alignment, and leading a high-performing team focused on multi-platform expansion, mid-range commercial planning, and platform partner management." Which just shortly after the fallout of this, we had a few notable people chime in with this. Shinobi602 on the PS Studios OT said people are getting really carried away with this job listing. We had Nate the Hate chime in saying that he thinks more Sony games will go over to Xbox. Where do you fall on this? I'm very curious to see where you stand on this job listing.
Man, this job listing set the internet off.
Yeah, it really did.
I think there are many people who want to believe that Sony is about to move everything to the Xbox, as you see online, and there are some people who are like, "Oh, move anything to the Xbox." The answer is somewhere in the middle, clearly, because I think they're going to move stuff live service based mostly, but I do think there is a chance that Sony tests the market outside of that. However, I don't know if that's going to be necessarily with Xbox, as I kind of feel like it would be with Nintendo in their Switch 2 if they're going to test the market with single player. I think if you have a shooter or something live service based, it would work on Xbox, and that's why, as funny as it sounds now, I wouldn't be shocked if Fair Games does come out, if it has an Xbox logo the next time we see it. that wouldn't surprise me. Now, we still have to get to the point where Fair Games actually comes out. That's probably a bigger question than anything else. But would it make sense for Sony to release Spider-Man on the Xbox? That keeps coming up. I don't know, because there is that cost of Spider-Man is really tied to the PlayStation brand right now. Like, people do look at Spider-Man and look at the PlayStation, they kind of just in their mind connect them because we've had it on PlayStation for so many years now, and the games have, as they come out, been good. Is the money you would make on Xbox? Spider-Man, I think, would sell no matter where you put them on any of the platforms. Even if you have, say, Xbox, where people are apparently less or trained not to buy games as much. Okay. Spider-Man has that pull. You could put Spider-Man there and probably sell 1 million copies without too much issue and find $60 million overnight or something. Maybe 2 million copies or something. But is it worth doing when you know you're going to do Spider-Man 3 and it might be a late PS5 or cross-gen to PS6, and the idea is we still want to sell hardware? So that's why this is such a hard thing to gauge, because sure, Sony could just start putting everything on the Xbox, but what do they deem as... I still think they have games that have red tape on them, basically, because they see them as representing their brand or selling hardware in the future, or still selling hardware. I saw some people mention Astrobot should go over to... I don't think Astrobot makes any sense because it relies on the DualSense controller so heavily, and it's so tied to PlayStation that it's basically an advertisement almost at times to buy more stuff for your PlayStation. But Days Gone, I don't know. They don't really seem that interested in making another one, it feels like. So just kind of hanging out. It's like, maybe if they do a multiplayer SOCOM again, would you put that on Xbox because it's live service? It would make sense to. That's kind of the issue right now, is how new is this job listing in the first place, as it seems like they're filling a role that opened up, and how much does Helldivers 2 really influence us now thinking about this going forward?
Yeah, it's been very fascinating watching this play out. You're right, it's somewhere in the middle. I mean, I always thought, like, oh, when you propose that prediction of, I could see a 2017 game, Horizon Zero Dawn, coming to Switch 2, and that's like the most, experimental Sony would have gotten at this point, because undeniably what we do have is them experimenting already. We know that. It's just they get there much slower than everybody else. Or I guess Nintendo is the most conservative, obviously. But, Sony has historically been very slow. But Helldivers 1 was on PC. I mean, they do these things so much more carefully calculated and methodical. And for as much as people want to prop up this recent conversation from the Fireside Chat with Hideaki Nishino and Herman Hall saying they want to be careful and mindful of of course they do. And of course they're going to say those things in the here and now. Sony's very protective of their core business model, and they're still primarily focused on the console business. I don't think that's going away at all. I think what everyone tends to completely ignore here is that PlayStation 5, by every pound and metric, is selling just as well as PlayStation 4, maybe like 1 million lifetime consoles behind or something. And yet it's also making more money, far more money. And this is the most experimental they've ever been, as they're publishing Helldivers 2 on Xbox, shipping Lego Horizon on Switch, licensing out IP to Bandai Namco. I mean, this is the most multi-platform they've ever been, and they're doing it during a cycle when they just can't stop selling PS5s. And it's the de facto console. And arguably, they're the most de facto high-end console they've ever had. Microsoft's basically, they threw their hands up. Here's all of our games. We're barely breaking 35 million systems lifetime or whatever the hell their number is, because they won't say it because they're probably embarrassed by it. So, I mean, I know it's so easy to say, like, this would damage the PlayStation brand. And I think it would to a degree. I think I agree with you. There is some red tape on certain franchises, but at the same time, numbers are numbers. And that's not me saying I agree with it. It's just me looking at what is happening right now and thinking, if they get more experimental, how does that shock me? They're just super careful about it. That's all it is.
Yes. It still has to have impact that can help sell hardware, though. So while some games, like I said, could go to Xbox and they'd be fine, there are some that I'm sure they just only want on PlayStation. There's a reason for you to buy the system, and that's that. Now, it could go to PC later on, because that hasn't seemed to have hurt them at all. From what I've seen, it's pretty straightforward. There are people on PC who are they're not going to buy a PlayStation, so it's an open platform. We can meet them there. That's it. Steam is interesting because they do still have to give percentages to Steam, and it's, to them, it might be weird because it is like, we could make our own launcher technically, and I'm surprised they haven't yet. They seem comfortable, I guess, giving that percentage to Steam, but that's still an option for them there. Whereas it's, at least right now, it's not on Xbox. I say right now because apparently Xbox might let other storefronts on there. We'll say with next generation. Could there be a PlayStation storefront on there someday? I don't know. That'd be weird, but I guess it's possible, especially if it just runs Windows. So the problem right now is that's the other thing. It's so uncertain what next generation is going to look like for Microsoft that all these PlayStation games should just be there by default because they build a machine that just runs Windows anyway.
Well, that's the other weird thing. So I brought this up in like the one upload I did about this job listing, just as a conversational piece. You know, it's kind of big news. I'll throw my opinion in. And it was just like a theory of like, is the company that motivated to get ahead of this like box that's coming within possibly a year that's just going to launch Steam licenses? So is their line of thinking, oh, well, if we don't launch a game now, if we don't do a handful of things now, you know, we're kind of missing out on, you know, like 9 figures or something from selling a handful of PlayStation Studio games and Xbox, which again, it's just a sort of theory, a devil's advocate. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's like, you know, they're willing to publish Helldivers 2 there before they can just launch a Steam license next year, you know, but like, that's the other weird thing. So like here, actually, yeah, Real Radic in the chat pointed this out. Like this is how they do modern exclusivity. Modern exclusivity to them is not Xbox. Mm-hmm. So even something like licensing out their IP to Bandai Namco, the stipulation is still very clearly, yeah, but don't put it on Xbox. So I think it's very clear not everything's going over, but what makes sense and how motivated are they to do something that also probably won't impede on their bottom line? I think that's like the weird spot they're in, you know?
Yeah, there's some discussion right now. We just talked about the PS6 stuff, that the next Xbox might actually be more powerful than the PS6 by, I don't say a fair amount, but a noticeable amount. And again, that brings in the question, the PC side, because that Xbox then, if it is kind of like a PC with Windows, but dressed up a lot more with Xbox, would just be more expensive as well. So there's a lot of things playing into the next generation that we just don't know about yet. And as funny as this, we really just need to see Microsoft's strategy, because we kind of already figure what Sony's going to do. They're going to put a PS6 out. You know, it's pretty straightforward. And a handheld, that'd be cool. But we know their core product is going to be the PlayStation 6. And we probably already envision maybe not what it looks like, but how it'll function. I have no idea what Microsoft's about to do, because some of it doesn't necessarily make sense to people right now when it comes to the business side. But Microsoft's also somewhat desperate at times to kind of lump Xbox in with Windows, which is very successful for them. So it's really hard to say what Microsoft's about to do.
Right. Well, that's the other, if they're going to upend the console model, which is subsidize a box and then everything you sell is on your storefront where you get the cut. If they're going to upend that, the running theory there is like, oh, they're not going to subsidize the box. So they might actually just, because they don't care at that point. Oh, here's an Xbox. It's got a Windows layer to it, and install whatever stores you want. And the way we make money is, 1, our games are everywhere, so it doesn't really matter to us. And 2, if you do happen to buy our box, you know, we make money on the box because we're not subsidizing it. You know, we're cannibalizing our own storefront. So that seems to make the most sense to me. Which at that point too, I mean, it's PlayStation 6. Again, it's just like they just have a clear landing strip. There's, you know, if there's $1,000-something next gen Xbox, then yeah, PS6 comes out. Maybe it's a little bit underpowered. You know, you have a Digital Foundry comparisons going up. Oh, God forbid, you know, a handful of games don't run nearly as well or something. But it's like they've just got this clear runway for that space.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I don't know how competitive the next generation is going to be. Then, you know, we got to see what Microsoft's going to do. So there's a lot of questions of them tying Windows into Xbox, because there's so many things that have to change on the Xbox side for it to work.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, to circle back to the original job listing, I mean, I don't know. I think, would it be fair to say, John, that yeah, they'll probably do another Switch game. They'll probably do potentially another Xbox game, but I would think it's still very much kind of in line with what we're expecting.
Well, I mean, the listing for this job does mention, hey, you're going to mostly be in charge of running the numbers and trying to figure out what makes sense to put on these platforms, if anything. They might find that, hey, you know what, the Xbox right now, we're looking at projections. We don't know if it necessarily makes sense for this intangible brand value that we can't necessarily put down on paper, you know. Mm-hmm. But maybe on the Switch, hey, Horizon doesn't really sell much anymore. So many of copies have sold, but there are so many people. We've done market research to find that there are many, many people out there who have a Switch 2 or a Switch 1 who are going to upgrade to Switch 2 that just don't have a PS5 in the house. And we don't necessarily know if they're going to buy it, but there are many people who might want to buy Horizon or experience it for the first time. And then they come over to PlayStation for Horizon 3 or something. Like those are the things they're, I'm sure, calculating right now. How would Spider-Man sell on this on the Switch 2? Is there a huge market there where we can find hundreds of millions of dollars overnight? That's what the job mostly entails. And they're paying well for it. It's like upwards of $340,000 a year or something. So it's an important job. Like this person is going to be in charge of some pretty big decisions, or at least giving them information to make the decisions. So they don't want them transposing or flubbing numbers. All right. That's kind of the point.
Yep. I think the only other thing I would add here is that Sony's committed to building these properties up beyond PlayStation. And when you think about these PlayStation productions and how the notoriety of some of these characters, I mean, that's kind of why they were happy to put like Lego Horizon on Switch. I really don't know if a single player game would go to, a traditional PS Studio single player game would make its way to Switch or Xbox, but
sure.
I circle back to your prediction. I'm like, if Zero Dawn came to Switch, like I would not be shocked. I just wouldn't at this point. I'd think, that's like the next little, the next little big thing. It's like they've taken a decade to get here from Helldivers 1 on PC to now finally doing this, but it's like, they'll eventually do it. You would think.
It's funny because it seems like a lot of the people with mostly the people with the Switch 2 or even Nintendo are just kind of hanging out and they're just watching Microsoft and Sony go back and forth. And then if they just end up with Horizon Zero Dawn randomly, I don't know if people would really care that much. They'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe,
whatever.
Maybe not.
They would say what you say, not Xbox. That'd be their reasoning. Well, it's not Xbox. It's just funny. Nintendo's just sitting there and like they just randomly get stuff here and there just for being there. It's okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, let's say like I think like that wouldn't shock me. I mean, what Marvel Tokon? Were we saying that's not going to be Xbox or? I can see Tokon.
Know.
Yeah, like.
Sony did do the whole thing with Street Fighter where they kept it on PlayStation, for a while.
That's a good point. That's been their MO for the longest time.
Yeah. I mean, they own Evo. Like they have the fighting stick coming out. It all plays into this is a game that's going to sell PlayStation 5s for us. Although a lot of people play it on PC too, but they're lining up PS5s at Evo. So
yeah, indeed they are. Well, semi-adjacent news, but we've got a handful of other Xbox titles that were rumored to be finally coming over. So we'll just go through these real quick. These were all from reported by MP First. So these are two resumes. One from, one designer or somebody working on Gears of War E-Day. PS5's on there. Yep. There you go. Same thing for State of Decay 3, which I think that's the first time we heard about State of Decay coming over. Since Gears of War at least Reloaded as that kind of telegraphs that game is definitely coming over. But State of Decay 3, same thing. Resume PS5 is listed as a target platform. And then a separate report from MP First, they claim that their sources are talking about Starfield. The game's not coming this year, but the following year, which is partly due to the RPG's weak sales of the first expansion. So they're trying to coincide the PS5 release with the game's second expansion and quality of life updates. So I guess those are potentially 3 games that if you didn't know, now you know.
That Shattered Space DLC, man, it was just what a shame.
Wasn't good.
The first hour of it's good. The rest of it's just like, forgettable. It's a real shame. It should have been good. But I guess this next one they're going to do, this next expansion, hopefully is better. And then there's quality of life improvements and other updates. Starfield itself has already sold really well on PC and Xbox. I think it's going to do really well on PlayStation. So as much, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Horizon situation, Ryan, where it sells well, but then you have people online who are just burying Horizon consistently. Starfield's the same thing. People like to bury that game, but it's a good game. Starfield's a good game. The thing that's a shame about Starfield is, and I'll be the one to say it, fine. It couldn't be said in reviews. The ending is actually different than anything I've ever seen in video games, ever.
Oh. This is the first time hearing about this.
See? That's the thing. No one talks about it, but it is very innovative. Never seen it done before in gaming. Ever.
Okay.
And the thing is, in reviews, they can't run around and talk about it because it's spoiler territory, but it is genuinely interesting the way that they approach Endgame and some other stuff with it. So I liked what Starfield did. I like what it represents there, and kind of they play around with like dimensions and life outside of Earth, and traversing around the universe. And it's a cool game when you actually sit down and play it and kind of have that mentality of, maybe you do go to a planet and there's nothing there, but then you look up and it's kind of that Death Stranding feeling where you just realize how small you are at that moment in the game. You look up and there's a Saturn type looking planet. It's close enough to the moon you're on to where it takes up 3/4 of your screen. You're just sitting there like, oh wow. It's just that atmosphere. So I recommend Starfield if people have never played it before. And when you get to the ending, just think about what I said here. So
I would akin it to like a Forza Horizon, Horizon 5. Like that game was like over 2-3 million now on PS5. I would assume Starfield would do plenty on PS5.
Oh yeah, it's a new Bethesda RPG. Like, yeah.
Did you look at that new Silent Hill F gameplay and impressions? A lot of the press had some hands-on time with the game.
A little more action oriented.
Yeah, so it looks like this just happened. So people got to play about 5 hours of the game, which is like a third of the game basically. But a lot of the press had some hands-on time. So a lot of new details for Silent Hill F. I mean, John, I think it looks great.
Oh yeah, in there day one.
Looks gorgeous.
They said that they were doing more action-based to try to appeal to the younger audience, apparently.
Yes. Well, there's no guns, so it's all melee based, and also there is weapon durability, which might sound kind of annoying at first, but at least based on impressions, people are like, no, it kind of ramps up the stakes, and it's like easy to find another thing, but it's like you can repair what you have, but I guess like the resources to do that you're not going to find that often. So it kind of like puts you in this uneasy position of like, if you run into even more than just one other thing, it's like better to run away from things, which gives you that helpless feeling. You're playing a high schooler basically, but it's I'm
interested in that psychological horror stuff they've been talking about. The environment looks cool. Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah. It looks gorgeous. I watched the gameplay like maybe an hour before filming. I'm like, oh my God, this looks so good.
I really hope this really is the revival. Like we have Silent Hill 2, we get Silent Hill F, and we're just like, man, Silent Hill is off and running its back.
I think it is. There was some doubt going into F because it's a different studio too. It's not like we can look at this and say, oh, Bloober nailed the remake they're going to do. That's not Bloober, right? But sure enough, they've got 2 entries here that might be very good.
If this comes out and it's good, and Metal Gear Solid 3 comes out at the end of this month and it's good, is Konami back?
Nearly. We're waiting on Castlevania.
Castlevania, that's the big one.
Castlevania.
If they are able to pull off Castlevania now, then Konami's back. Is that the idea?
I would think they'd be fully back at that point. Yeah, they might not be redeemed on their attitude, but they'd be back.
I mean, I'm looking at this like, man, Silent Hill 2. Let's just say Silent Hill F is like Silent Hill 2 territory in terms of quality and enjoyment, and just it's a good game. It's like and then Metal Gear Solid 3, also same kind of territory, very good game. I know it's a remake, but still, to even go after a classic like that fans will roast you if you mess that thing up, right? Let's say it comes out, it's also good. The common denominator here is Konami.
Yeah, they're the IP owner. Yeah.
But I think they seem to also have like development, like they have input on some of the stuff, it sounds like, just based on the developer interviews. I don't know. Konami is surprising me a little bit right now based on where we were with them just a few years ago.
No, I think they've got, they've pulled their head out of their ass and they're doing what a publisher should do. Like actual due diligence on scouting out the right studio and commissioning a proper game and making sure that you're monitoring it closely and don't put something out that's not shaping up to be all that good. That looks beautiful. I think they nailed like the 1960s rural Japanese town aesthetic. It looks just very creepy, very eerie. I think they're doing all the right things right now. We have some not so good news. Bioshock sequel.
Oh,
looks like it's in trouble, and there was a remake that's been canceled.
Oh,
Reported by Jason Schreier, writing for Bloomberg. The Bioshock sequel in development at Cloud Chamber is allegedly in trouble. According to sources, the narrative is one issue where it's going to be completely revamped, and that's going to set the game back even more from what has already been a 10-something year development cycle. Absolutely insane. And also, a remake of the original game was in development, and that was canceled earlier this year. Oof.
The remake got canceled. Man.
That's the bigger news to me, John. That's the bigger. Yeah. I know. I honestly, I think, like, I always say, like, my top 3 like favorite games and franchises is like Pokemon, Grand Theft Auto, and Jak. I think like Bioshock is possibly 4. Maybe that, or like
5,
yeah, like it's in there for sure. Like next to Katamari. Oh my god, I would have loved a remake of Bioshock.
It is a shame. That is one of those games that experiences where, man, it's one of those you had to be there moments when that game first came out. Because by now, maybe not everyone's seen it, but like people have spoiled like the twist in the game, and there's just such an atmosphere of that game coming from the PS2 and the original Xbox to the 360. I mean, one, the visual leap was noticeable clearly, but they just did so much with that game from the gameplay perspective. But then also the immersion of the player to go along with that. It's just, we never seen it before. You go to Rapture and like the opening, you're just going down to the ocean. Like, what is this? I've never seen this before. It's so hard to explain that to people who have gotten into gaming in the last 10, my gosh, 15 years.
Yeah, well, it's like there's enough time has passed. Like, I think a remake would have made sense.
And
I'm not one to sit here and say like, oh, we need to be remaking all these X, Y, and Z games. Like, I'm kind of whatever about them. I know that they generally are just sort of like a stepping stone to funding for another game or something typically. But I mean, this is like the one thing where like, I'll be selfish. I would have loved a full blown multi-million-dollar remake. I don't want a frame rate bump. I don't want a resolution bump. We got that on PS4. We don't need that. I would have taken like carefully crafted, like give it that Dead Space treatment, give it a Last of Us Part 1 remake. I want to see Rapture just look just unbelievable on modern hardware. I can't believe that got canceled.
But I mean, come on, that's selling. Bioshock 1 remake? Are you kidding me? That would sell. That would do some numbers.
But like, I guess the sequel too. I mean, yeah, that thing's just been kicking around for who knows how long. Next to Judas as well. Judas is basically the spiritual successor. That game's also stuck. Nobody can put out a Bioshock game.
What a hard fight. We've talked about, as mentioned, like people would have killed Virtuos over Metal Gear Solid 3 if it's not good, or if they mess something up with the remake. But there are certain franchises where it's tough to make a new entry because you have to live up to what the previous ones did. Bioshock is one of those franchises. Like the narrative aspect, and the problem with gaming now is, I don't want to say problem, but like the developers and publishers face is finding something that the player hasn't experienced yet to then set that entry apart. We have so many years and so many releases now, even since Bioshock, you can say Infinite, but certainly since the first Bioshock, where it's hard to find that unique almost avenue, that unique niche that you can tie to the game and be like, yeah, this is that Bioshock feel again, where you've never seen this before kind of thing. So it's so tough. And if you don't get it right, yeah, you could kill the franchise. You could do some damage.
Well, it's been gone since 2012. So at this point, age is doing damage to the franchise.
Yeah. I mean, it would still get that. It would still get the pop from viewers or a live audience if it was shown somewhere like that, Bioshock, whatever coming up. But that remake, if nothing else, man, keep that remake alive. Come on.
I don't know what happened there. Ugh. I feel like that. I feel like the remake's I don't want to say slam dunk, but it's a near slam dunk. You have a footprint as far as like what you're supposed to do. Just give it to a competent studio.
Ugh. That's a shame. Yeah. Bring him. Virtuos will do it. Bring them in. Let's get them going here.
Bring somebody in. There's the other third party news. I didn't write anything down for this because this is a franchise I don't really follow too much. I imagine you know a lot more about this. Battlefield 6 had its formal reveal. What's going on with Battlefield 6, John? Can you fill me in?
It looks good. Almost a little too good. I will say that. Almost. They're saying all the right things, and it's EA. So we have that Dexter meme that came back where Dokes just stares at the person real close to the camera. It's like that. Everyone's just staring at
like...
EA, like real close to them. Like, okay, EA, what's the catch? Okay. They didn't even go for the $80 price point. Everyone's like, oh, maybe they'll try that. No, it's $70. Okay. It has the class system, but they're also testing right now in beta. What if they make it so that whatever class you have, you can pick your weapons, like you can change your loadouts and stuff. People are kind of torn, but they'll collect data. Look in the community for that. They have 9 maps, and they're big maps. They're not small for Battlefield, right? Because they've got to have a ton of people on each map. They have the vehicles. The destruction looks really good. The audio sounds awesome. From what I've been hearing and what's been published online, the gameplay, as people have been doing testing for it, is really good. It looks like old school Battlefield from Battlefield 3 and 4. And there's a single player campaign. Like they're doing everything. They showed a whole destruction trailer where you can, if you're on top of the building or if you're on the 2nd or 3rd floor, you can bash the floor out, fall down below and take the people out there, or vice versa, destroy the ceiling and they'll fall down to you. Or if you're in a tank, just drive through the thing and blow it all up. So that's the thing I missed the most, was the grounded feeling of a Battlefield game where like your like caveman mind is like, you know what? They're camping. I'm taking the building down. I'm just rolling through it. You know, that's it. It's there. I don't know what to say other than I'm going to have to try this thing this weekend.
Yeah, I've only seen snippets. Because I think the one I played the most of was Bad Company 2. But I generally just can't keep up with the Battlefield franchise. So I was curious what you thought about it.
I'm on the, okay, so there's the open beta this weekend, and there's like an early access beta. I'm on the lookout right now for an early access key. Okay. I'm on the lookout. I'm going to find one. All right. That way I can get in as early as possible so I can put some hours in. And Xbox, PlayStation, whatever, like PS5 Pro, it's enhanced. So up to 120 Hertz. They're doing a lot of stuff apparently. So I will be in there hopefully sooner than the open beta completely opens. Otherwise, that's when I'll jump in and I'll put some time in this weekend.
Okay. So you will be able to report back.
Yes. Battlefield 2042 was not great at launch because it was missing a ton of content. Seems like the polar opposite right now. They even have a mode where you can, like they're doing the Battlefield Portal thing. So you can just make all different types of maps and custom games and stuff. And then they're also going to do a free battle royale mode that's coming later on.
You're right. It sounds like they're saying all the right things.
Exactly.
So you're wondering what's the big surprise here that's going to throw everybody off.
Here was the thing I was concerned about. Okay. They were going to show up. Have you seen the clips on Twitter X or Instagram or Facebook, wherever else being shared, where Call of Duty gets the new thing releases, and it just looks ridiculous. Beavis and Butthead, Teenage Mutant Turtles, Seth Rogen, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
I'm learning about people through Call of Duty that like my nephews and stuff know about. I'm like, wow, okay, thanks, Gold. And anyway, they were asked, that being Battlefield developers and stuff there and EA, what are these skins going to look like? Because clearly they're going to do them. It's an easy way to make money. I get it. They're like, it's going to be grounded in reality and it's going to make sense in a Battlefield.
So Sabrina Carpenter won't be in Battlefield 6.
That is correct. Yes. Yes. So they're not going to do the Call of Duty. They leaned into like the whole weed culture thing where you drop down, you eat gummies, and all of a sudden you can see through walls and stuff and run 100 miles an hour.
I'm definitely like, I don't follow it too closely anymore because I saw like a screenshot of like Roger in the game from American Dad, and for a second I was like, is this like real? Is he really in the game?
Shout out to Ocean Beach Design. I will check that. I appreciate it.
That's why he said that, folks, because he was soliciting the key invite. That's what it
Apparently
was.
They're giving these. What I would have had to have done, so I do appreciate Ocean Beach Design. I would have had to have watched on Twitch for 30 minutes from a person, and then they send it to you.
That's how it works.
Yeah, apparently. That's how they announced it. It's like, I guess I'll watch somebody play or I'll put it up in a tab.
And they've done that for Pokemon Go events. You have to like watch for 30 minutes and then drop a code. It's a pain.
I will be in there though. I'm on it with Battlefield 6. I'm excited. The multiplayer scene has been felt limited for shooters like these because it's been like, oh, it's Call of Duty. and I see the skins, I get kind of disappointed and sad even. Beavis and Butthead. I think what happened was it's not installed on my Xbox anymore, Call of Duty. Beavis and Butthead kicked me in the groin, shot me in the back, and I swear as I'm laying there, dude, Michelangelo comes like rolling by on a skateboard. I'm like, this thing is out. Get this 200 gigabyte launcher off my Xbox right now.
Well, I didn't think those things were actually in the game. Like I saw screens like not that long ago, and I was like, oh, well, it's like, do you really want to be that though? Because doesn't that like really give away? Like it makes you look a little too obvious on the battlefield, like to be like a glorified cartoon character. I don't know.
I think so, right?
Like, I think it's if you just stay default with like camouflage, I think that actually kind of does what camouflage does. Like, unless you're like really, you don't want to be like a green man running through the environment, like a neon green
just
turtle,
like bright pink hair running through.
Right. Like, it kind of gives your position away maybe a little bit too much. But what do I know?
Yeah. I all I know is I don't think it's just me who got the Call of Duty celebrity fatigue. Okay, the ridiculousness, because when Call of Duty first came out on PC, one of the levels in the beginning, you held bullets for the person in front of you, because that's how it worked in war. You had to hand them the bullets. You were the ammo person. That's all you did. It was awesome.
Yeah. That's how you did it, right? And then you really got trench foot.
Yeah, man.
There is an adjacent news story to this, though, John. So you did mention EA is still rejecting $80 games. That was during a Q1 earnings call with the CEO, Andrew Wilson. And yeah, just confirmed. Yeah, they're still not doing it. The question is, John, how long is it going to be a no?
Oh, for EA, I would say,
or anyone. I mean, the thing with this, right, is that now this is after Microsoft walked back on Outer Worlds 2 and other holiday games. So you think this is like a big publisher looking at another big publisher going, "Ooh, okay, now we're definitely not going to try this. At least not anytime soon."
I mean, Outer Worlds 2 was always the weird choice for Microsoft. I just don't even know if that gives us great context or any kind of data, because one, it's going into Game Pass. Two, it's Outer Worlds 2, which the first one, good game. Not really, hey, this is the next massive Bethesda competitive game or something. Like, it's going to sit right alongside of Starfield or right alongside Elder Scrolls 6. No, not really. And they just got done with an interview, it being, for Outer Worlds 2, Obsidian, where they're like, yeah, we're going to try to make like more of these AA style games. And then we get the $80 price tag. I'm like, that makes no sense. So,
well, they don't set the price though. That's the thing we always got to be conscious of. Yeah.
I don't think they were happy. I personally don't think Obsidian was like thrilled with that price. And look, we see the backtrack from Microsoft, but I feel like Obsidian was like, guys, what are we doing here?
They were
trying to make an $80 game. Yeah. So I think the next game is going to be at minimum Grand Theft Auto. That's obvious. Right. I'm trying to think of some weird game that would show up and do it. I thought about something that has licensing, and maybe it's MLB The Show, because any of those games are expensive, right? Baseball, football, even hockey. Soon as the price increases start, those like are front of the line almost, it feels like.
Right. Well, that's the thing, because this is about EA specifically, but you would think like, oh, like FC could go up to 80.
Yeah. Oh, for EA specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would probably be, I feel like it would be a sports game.
FC, right? I mean, is that not what they sell the most of?
FC, yeah. It's like FC is, but then like Madden's up there. College football has been huge for them. So I think it's next year, and it's going to be one of these sports games. I mean, you take your pick and you might be right, but outside of sports games, just in the industry, it does feel like it would be Grand Theft Auto. That'll probably be the one. And it's going to be a big PS5 game, so we'll see how that does for the industry, because I'm sure everyone will believe that they can also price their game $80 because Grand Theft Auto 6 did it. So, check this out. Clayton Morris says, literally sitting here playing Bioshock 1 on PS3 for the first time. Long time backlog game for me. Now in Fort Frolic area. Amazing game. First time playing Bioshock. Man,
I wish I could be you right now, Clayton. I wish to experience the game again.
I'm not even gonna comment on what's coming up or what the game has for you, because it's good stuff. I'll say that it's good stuff.
I love that they're going out of their way to like play the PS3 version.
I played on the 360 when it first came out back then. Obviously, a lot of us did because that's where it was. Yeah, I don't even know how's the PS3 version hold up.
Oh, it's good. I mean, that was the thing, John. Like against the grain here, my first time was on PS3, and I was back there in the day, and I was like, oh man, this game looks great on 360. I wish we could get it over here. And then the following year, we got it. We got a better version at the time because we got the extra challenge rooms on disc, and we had like a really cool slipcover. It's really nice. It's a good version. It's a good version. I still got my slipcover.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just an incredible experience. I remember I looked up the achievements for that, and it said I beat the game back then in like a day and a half.
A day and a half?
Yeah. Oh I was working at GameStop back then, so I remember that.
I can probably look up my trophies for that game because I got the platinum for that one too, like pretty quickly. Oh, it came. That was the thing with so the platinum on PS3 was harder because it had it had a new difficulty setting. So it had a super hard setting that the 360 version didn't get. It had the bonus challenge rooms. And so the platinum, I know, took probably a little bit longer. But it was good, though. It's really good.
Oh, here's Neil says, John, I hear how thanks. Days Gone 2 is being directed by Ben. Huh. Interesting.
That's not the whole name.
That's up in Dover. I think they missed a comma. It's up in Dover.
It's not the whole
or down
name,
in
John.
Dover. Dover, Delaware. Dover, Delaware.
All right.
Victor Perez says, even though Ryan is gushing about Silent Hill F, Naomi's still not playing the GOAT that is Silent Hill 2 remake. Hold on a minute. I didn't realize you hadn't played that yet. They said they put nearly 80 hours in. I didn't put 80 hours into it, but they're super excited for Silent Hill 1 remake.
80 hours in Silent Hill 2. Well, the platinum's not 80 hours, right?
You got to play through it multiple times, I think, right? You got to like more than twice, maybe 3 times to beat it and get the platinum.
Wow. 80 hours in Silent Hill 2. I know, Victor. You gotta lay off me. I'm working for Drawbridge right now. I gotta finish my deliveries. Then I gotta go back to fantasy.
Okay.
Then I gotta start Expedition 33 because that game's right up my alley.
You haven't even played that? Oh man.
I know. Well, I got it in though. I got it in.
Okay.
It's in. It's up there. I saw it in stock on Amazon. I wasn't playing around. I'm like, you know what? That disc print's been going in and out of stock.
Good game.
So
You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it.
I have a queue. I'll work on it eventually.
Okay. That works.
Real quick, do you want to? Well, I'll just mention this. Stop Killing Games. The campaign did cross over the finish line, 1.4 million signatures. So, as a reminder, that's the European Citizens Initiative, where over 1 million genuine signatures that will be proposed properly to European legislation, and we'll see what that ends up, how that pans out over time, because obviously that's going to be a whole new can of worms as far as trying to actually get some legislation for games to have a proper sunsetting and having some consumer protections, which will hopefully have a downstream effect to all other games that are released globally. So we'll be following that closely to see what ends up happening. But they did cross over 1.4, so hopefully they are valid and they're clean and they'll be able to take the next step forward.
Yep. Saw some support from lawmakers stuff getting thrown around too. So I'm hoping there's at least a struggle, we'll say, in the in Parliament and stuff when they start discussing it.
We're glossing over it, but there's like a lot more to it. Yeah, there's a few people in Parliament or whatever their body's called, but they came out with support. Ross got into some not trouble, but like there was like an insider that was making up claims about him, and obviously, there's been some lobbying already, so it's definitely an issue that's getting very some
sweating going on. I like it.
I like it too. I mean, that's the thing. It seems like the only time consumer protections actually go through is it happens in Europe. So I'm very optimistic. I hope something happens.
Oh, shut the Ocean! You didn't have to do that Ocean Beach design, but I guess I will give one to RGT then. Thank you.
Oh, that's just what John needs, huh?
Are you going to play Battlefield 6 beta, Ryan? Or are you going to be just delivering packages?
No, I definitely won't.
Okay.
That's fine. The only thing I don't like about Battlefield typically is just how big the maps are. That's like arena shooters. So
sure. Okay. Well, cool. I will give one to RGT and maybe I'll give one to MVG. So we thank you in advance, Ocean Beach Design. I appreciate it.
You want to quickly mention, we have just some brief news for PlayStation Productions. So the God of War Amazon TV series, which that is still a thing. So speaking with IGN, the executive producer, Ronald D. Moore, talked about how they want to emulate the tone of the game and really sort of focus on that father-son relationship. So again, it's starting in Norse, and that's going to be based on Kratos for the lead, and Atreus is going to be play a big role in that as well. But we know that season 1 is 10 episodes. The script is still being written. Corey Barlog is involved, and season 2 is already greenlit, and filming will begin 2026 at the earliest.
All right, good stuff. I mean, there's unfortunately, it's kind of just now we're in the waiting period, which
for the
let's be
how
real,
long
we'll
it
probably
takes.
get some stuff from set or whatever. We'll get some stuff, I'm sure, but
yeah, there's so much more that needs to be done for that show. I still think it should be a movie, but that's my little soapbox.
You think it wouldn't be? You don't think it'd be too rushed if it was a movie where they try to jam everything? The new thing now I've noticed is these movies really want to be under 2 hours long.
I just think give it an MCU level budget, like throw 9 figures at it and make it like that kind of production. I think God of War demands it. That's where I fall on the whole. I mean, arguably you're getting much more time. If we're like an hour an episode, that's like 10 hours. Like I get it. You're getting actually way more content. I just think a movie 2.5 something hours, give it like an Avengers style fucking, I think you'd get like an epic movie that wouldn't waste your time. Yeah. Alas, that is not what we're getting. So there's that. And then Twisted Metal season 2 has been airing. So episodes 1, 2, 3, and I think the next round of episodes are already out by now, but that's running until August 28th. So there's 12 episodes total.
And I keep saying I need to watch Twisted Metal. I haven't watched it all yet. And I keep saying I need to. So maybe I will do that next. I'm currently watching King of the Hill. So maybe I'll do that next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because that's back now too, right?
Yeah, it's very good. Better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah. I was never into King of the Hill. Never. That was like one of the few adult shows that I didn't care for.
You can kind of, I say you can kind of pick up with season 14, and it's funny because it's just commentary about legitimately social media stuff in the world now. So it's fun. It's fun.
All right. Well, that's actually all I've got for you. All of our stories.
Okay.
We want to wrap up some super chats before we get to PSX. Go and give it to you.
All right, good stuff. Let me go back through here. Victor Perez. What's next? Ryan will say he has not played Elden Ring or Stellar Blade yet. Love you, bro.
It's in the queue.
Oh no!
Actually, I played a little bit of Stellar Blade, not a ton, obviously, not a ton.
No Elden Ring though.
No, the thing about Elden Ring is I know for a fact when I start that game, it's going to be over for me. I'm not going to want to play anything. I'm not going to want to go anywhere. I'm not going to want to work on videos. I sure as hell don't want to talk to you. I will only want to play Elden Ring. So I'm saving that game for like when I know I have like a good month-long window to play it.
When you're retired.
Pretty much at this rate, yeah.
Playing on the PS9.
High frame rate. Maybe by then the frame rate will be fixed.
Yeah. Claw says, Ryan, I finished Clear Obscure last night at 4 a.m. It really is as good as everyone says. Enjoy. Hey, you know it's good if you're up at 4 a.m. to see that thing through.
Well, I'm up at 4 a.m. anyway.
I mean, like if it's like somebody who's not usually up at 4 a.m, but you get that game that it just keeps rolling and you're waiting for the credits, but it doesn't happen, but it's really good and you're just sticking with it and you look over and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be up for work in like 3 hours.
The issue is that then for me, that would go into like 8 a.m. and like it would just like actual sunrise would happen. And I don't think that's healthy for me.
You've had that happen before, right? Maybe back in the day. It hasn't happened to me anytime recently, but like anytime very at all recently. But I remember back in definitely the early 20s when I was like working at games. I remember that time, kind of the college days. You're playing a game, and then you looked over and the sun was coming up. That definitely happened a couple times. I remember that specifically for a few.
Yeah. Mine were just like from like late trophy hunting nights. That was not an unusual thing for me.
Definitely happened to me with like Halo 1. This is taking it back. Halo 1, where we had people over at my house, my parents' house, and we were all playing like on the first floor and stuff. And we definitely went out when the sun was coming up and like walked around the block. It was like, all right, that was
walked around the block. Yeah, like take a drag off your cigarette or something after a long night.
We had to get up and move, man. We were in place for a while playing Halo 1.
Walk your ass to Denny's or something, get yourself a grand slam.
I wish, man. We we probably could have walked to Denny's. I'm trying to think how far that wasn't that far away. It was probably like a 20-minute walk. If we maybe 30 minutes. If we really wanted to do it. Yeah, that was one I remember. I also remember in Halo 3 in the college days that definitely happened as well.
All right.
So, man, long time ago. Man, good old days. What we got for? I think that's everything. Hold on. Yep. We're good there. What we have for PlayStation? PSX gonna give it to you.
For PlayStation. PSX, go and give it to you. This is the topic of the show where we go over something cool, old, or nostalgic in PlayStation history. Just try and drop some knowledge on the folks, some of the kiddos out there, and talk about and reminisce about things going on in PlayStation history. Today, John, I want to talk about the really neat trick the PS1 had with memory and swapping discs. Because one of the really cool things you could do with a PlayStation 1, and this was supported with certain games, in that you could start playing the game, pop open the tray, put in an audio CD, and because the way the PS1 would like load in memory reading from the disc, sometimes it would just like have the game all in memory. So you could just pull out the disc from that point, pop in an audio CD, and start listening to music while you're playing your PS1 game. So there were a handful of titles that did that, like Vib Ribbon, Ridge Racer, and what were the other ones I wrote down here? Devil Dice had it. Vigilante 8 had it. Those were all for music. So it would like load, I think, the whole damn game in memory. Just swap in like, I don't know, some 90s hip hop, whatever you're doing. I mean, that's probably what I would do. And you could listen to that while you're playing those games, which is cool to have like in-game music back in the 90s. Like people didn't realize that was a thing. And I think this was like very uncommon. Not a ton of games did this, but like those ones did. I know Vigilante 8 Second Offense rather. You can swap in the first game and play the maps from that game on the second game. It's a kind of a weird quirk with that one.
Oh, weird.
And then Monster Rancher would generate like in-game creatures based on the audio CDs. And it's just
I remember that one specifically.
That's just like, it's just so cool. And I think it's something that like a lot of people do not know that the PS1 like did that.
I didn't know that with the audio CD stuff. You said Ridge Racer was one. Now I'm interested in trying that out. Is it when you start a race, there's like an options thing, or is it in the options?
I think so. Like, I think with some of them, you do it like on the menu. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
it doesn't prompt you. You just do it.
Well, as from what I can remember, I'd have to like double check and like do these games myself again. In practice, I haven't actually done these things in fucking 20 years.
Oh, I'm curious
it's like,
now.
Yeah, like to actually like pull out real hardware and just like see it again. But like it's you could do it. You know, I would have to double check exactly at what point you can safely do that. That was the other thing. Like all PS1 games, technically speaking, you can like just pull out the disc as it's playing. But it depends on, you know, how that studio dumped the game into memory. So some game, like you can't dump the whole game in memory sometimes, right? So like some games you could keep playing and it would stop to a certain point. But that was the novelty, is that some games are just there sitting and you can just do it. Like Devil Dice is only like a very small scope puzzle game. So you can just get away with like playing the whole game, but you can listen to your own music. That was
when
really
you drop
cool.
the CD in and you close the lid and it spins up, does it just start playing the music then?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Oh, interesting.
It's weird because I haven't done
it with the sound effects.
Yeah, I haven't done it in so long, so I'm curious to like re-see it again and
yeah,
because like young me, like I can't really piece together exactly the specificness of is like the in-game SFX still there? What do they, does the game, is it super mindful of that to where it turns off basic audio tracks? Like I can't remember. I'll be honest.
Sounds like a video.
It'd be cool to do for sure. But it was a
feature you never knew about.
It was such a very novel thing for the PS1.
That is really interesting. And the Monster Rancher one though was pretty legendary. I think many people at least had heard about that. Not everyone had tried it. I remember that did get, I think, a copy at one of the rental stores near me, and that's how I tried it. And so my parents had like CDs and stuff on the shelf. I'm grabbing all of them. And it's funny, I didn't realize it just reads the number of tracks and the length of each track, and then it kind of randomizes and throws it all into like an equation and spits out a number. That's how you get the monster. So I did it like 4 or 5 times. Like, that's kind of cool. And the game itself, but like a lot of it was just doing the CD thing, right? It was really cool to see that. It felt magical back then, but now I look back on, I'm like, okay, here's how they did it. But it was kind of that time of discovery with the PlayStation 1 at that point. It's like the PlayStation 1 did feel kind of like this mythical device because it ran CDs and it full motion video. I know it sounds crazy now. Full motion video back then was mind blowing. Okay, I'll just tell you that now.
it was
crazy. There's like witchcraft going on.
When the FMVs kicked in, you're like, what the fuck?
It was like that.
How does it look like this?
Dude, that opening for Final Fantasy VIII, that thing hit so hard on the PS1 back when it came out. Oh, man. It was wild stuff. But yeah, it's just because of the CDs. So it's cool. But I did not know about that for the PlayStation 1. That is very interesting with the audio CDs.
Yeah, like that's the really cool parallel is like I think a lot of people remember how awesome it was on like the OG Xbox or like 360 with like being able to use in-game music or something. You know, it's like by the time PlayStation 3 came out, it's like, oh, PS3 doesn't have that until we eventually got, you know, the in-game XMB. That was the huge update the PS3 eventually got. And even then, it was still a developer by developer thing. And that was the same for PS1, obviously, in this context. But like I think it's so easy to overlook that. No, actually, the goddamn PS1 of all things had in-game music. You just had to pop your favorite CD in. On Devil Dice.
Stuff, though. Not Devil Dice.
Yep.
Classic.
It's the classic Vebriman.
Is that PlayStation? That's PSX going to give it to you, though.
That's it.
That's it.
Drop some knowledge.
I like it. That's good place. That's good podcast. Good PlayStation podcast tonight. Shout out to all the people who came through on a later podcast than usual, somewhat, but it's like 2.5 hours too.
Just about.
It's good. It's a good show. It's a good show. There it is. Real Radix still waiting for Devil Dice to get added to the classics catalog, and you can play your music too with it.
Yeah. Well, at that point, you'd be using like Spotify.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff now. Yeah. But well, I think that's it. I think I got everyone there. Yep. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. Check us out down below in the links are in the description. Want to check out Ryan or myself on different channels. Of course, you can also subscribe to this channel if you want to keep up to date different clips, and whenever we go live, that'll be there. And you'll see more and more clips and stuff get posted on this channel from the range of different shows and podcasts, whether it's this one or the Spawncast or Game and Talk. You'll just see more and more of them pop up. Just in case you miss any, you can kind of keep up to date with that as well. And Ryan and I are kind of working on a fun little series that I think people get a kick out of as well when it comes to some of the old school PlayStation 2 stuff. And I think it'll be fun. I got to set up some of the stuff when it comes to video sharing and things more real time, but I think we have that worked out through Discord. So keep an eye out for that too. But that's it. Ryan, anything for the good people you want to say?
That's it. These people have been lovely. I love you all so much. And thank you for being here with us.
Okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We will see you in a couple of weeks to hang out, talk PlayStation all over again. We'll see you guys then.